I now call this regular board meeting of Goose Creek ISD Board of Trustees to order on May the 6th, 2025, and it is 6:04. Mr. Campisi, was the meeting properly posted?
Yes, it was.
And do we have a quorum?
We have a quorum.
Thank you. I now turn over the meeting to Mr. Matt Flood. Thank you.
Good evening, board. At this time, we're going to start with our public hearings. So I'm going to turn it back over to Ginger McKay. No, the public hearings are first.
That's fine.
Sorry. Oh, that's the thing.
Is it coming up? Why is it not coming up? Matt? Why is this not coming up? I couldn't hear you.
Good evening and welcome. Y'all may proceed.
We're.
Well, I guess
There
you
it
need the
goes.
PowerPoint. There you go.
Oh, it wanted to have its own moment. So good evening, board members, President Brat Timms, and Superintendent O'Brien. Thank you, we're good. You want me to do a presentation now? You got it? Don't take it off. Okay. I'm about to touch it. Okay, there we go. So this is our yearly time that we are going to do the required public comments for our federal grants. So we have ESSA, IDEA, and Carl Perkins. We always invite students, parents, school district staff, and anyone who wants to participate in providing a comment to do so. And so we have sent out surveys as well as we're conducting this evening event so that if there are questions before we begin planning. The ESSA federal grant has a number of different components. The first one is Title I, Part A, and that is for improving our basic programs, which basically is to supplement some of our resources in our schools that have high concentrations of students that are from low economic families so we can have high quality educational services provided. Title I, Part C focuses on our migrant education program. These funds are to provide supplemental instructional supports as well as some other services for our identified migrant students and their families, as well as to conduct identification, recruitment, data collection, records transfer, and all types of activities as required by the law. Title II, Part A is about building and supporting our teachers and our administrators to become great teachers and great administrators. And so it provides training and any other types of mentoring so that they can improve their skill sets for our instruction. Title III, Part A is our ESL and bilingual fund, and it basically provides some supplemental resources at a level that are above some of the others. So it's like building a cake. This is like the third level of the cake. And for those students, we provide additional services on top of things we're already providing to make sure they're having success with language acquisition. Title IV is our student support and academic enrichment grants. And basically, this is to provide activities so that our students have a well-rounded education and they also are safe and healthy, as well as using technology effectively. IDEA is our federal program for our special education, and IDEA Part B are the funds that are provided to supplement resources that help the district identify students for special education, as well as provide those services for children ages 3 to 21. The second part of IDEA is Part C. These funds provide the resources needed to help the district identify students for special services that they may need for ages 0 to 36 months. And then the third part of IDEA is the deaf education part. These funds provide those supplemental resources as well for our students who are deaf or hard of hearing. And Carl Perkins is the other federal grant that we have. And the purpose is for it to have the career and technical education program to develop more fully the academic knowledge, technical, and employability skills of secondary education students who enroll in CTE programs and programs of study. There are multiple components of it. It requires us to provide career exploration and career development activities, professional development. It also is to provide skills that are necessary to pursue careers in high-skill, high-wage, in-demand occupations, support integration of academic skills into the CET programs of study, support integration of programs of study, evaluate Perkins-funded programs, including a local needs assessment. Oops, and now I'll give them an opportunity for any comments or questions from you all or from the audience.
So just to be clear, audience, the federal spending of dollars we receive, which is a small portion of the overall budget of Goose Creek, is required to be held in public. And therefore, we invite anyone who might have a question about each of these departments and how the money is spent to ask our presenters tonight. So we'll allow for a few minutes for you as an audience, and then also for our Board of Trustees. But we have the Director of Special Education, Director of CTE, and Director of Federal Programs here to answer any questions the audience may have in regards to federal expenditures. Hearing none, board members? Very familiar with it?
Hey, I'd like to add one last thing. If you did want to ask a question or felt so after you leave, on the district website under the Federal Programs Department, those 3 different surveys are available for you to just click on and answer or ask any question or provide feedback. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We do have one more public hearing that will precede the actual opening exercises. We would invite up at this time the public hearing on the application for NRG Cedar Bio 5, Comptroller application number J0012 for tax incentive agreements. I'd like to ask you to come up, our guests, and introduce yourselves. And again, it will be subject to public questions at the end of the presentation.
All right, good evening, Madam President, Dr. O'Brien, board members. This evening we are excited to present an application for NRG Project Cedar Bayou 5 LLC, application number J0012. This has been a project that we began actually a couple of years ago now, and it is finally moving forward and coming to fruition. So we are excited to bring you some information on this exciting project. So JETI, it stands for Jobs, Energy, Technology, and Innovation. It was created by House Bill 5 in the 88th legislature at the sunset of Chapter 313. So it kind of replaced the Chapter 313 program. Not as beneficial as it once was under the Chapter 13 section, but it does have value, certainly for economic development and expansion in our area and creating jobs, and it does have some financial benefit to the district as well. I will state before we move forward that according to the comptroller, some of the findings in their approval of this application thus far that was important to mention is that it was an eligible applicant in NRG. It was an eligible project as well. And there was a 20-year analysis done on the ability for this project to generate state or local tax revenue in an amount sufficient to offset the school district maintenance and operation ad valorem tax revenue lost. And then also it went through a competitive site selection process, meaning that had we not entered into this agreement or approved the application, we haven't entered into the agreement yet, it most likely would have gone to another site just due to the financial implications of that. And also it's not applicable in that it's not a qualified opportunity zone, so that factor was not applicable to this application. It does create jobs, and it requires a 3-party agreement between the company, the school district, and the governor's office. There are some job and investment requirements, and I'm sorry, I forgot to let you all introduce yourselves, but please feel free to jump in if you have a comment. I have Kevin O'Hanlon with O'Hanlon and Associates here, as well as Kathy Mathias from Moak and Casey. Sorry, I jumped ahead without introducing them. My apologies. But the job and investment requirements for this project are county population. The investment required is based on the population of the county. And our county, the county that's going to be located in is Chambers, and it has less than 99,999 in population, and that means it requires a $20 million investment. The project is of an additional 721 megawatt electric power generation plant at the NRG complex, and it would create electricity for sale in the wholesale power market. Certainly with the problems of our infrastructure and our power grid in the state, that's certainly something that's needed. It would consist of one natural gas-fired combustion turbine and a single shaft combined cycle configuration, and it would be developed on 9 acres in Chambers County near the Baytown Industrial Park. Beyond that, it's an $825 million investment. The land is not included in the incentive and is assumed to be taxed fully in both M&O and interest and sinking, and it's supposed to be operational by 2029. Where we are in the application process, you can see the "you are here" little signification there. We have just, as I read, we got approval from the comptroller, and we're now in the public hearing stage. And then beyond that, if it is approved, the governor and the Goose Creek will make a determination, and then we'll engage in our execution of agreement. So also another requirement is that the project must be located within a reinvestment zone, and the reinvestment zone was established in 2022 by the Commissioners Court of Chambers County, and again, it's located near the Baytown Industrial Park. The total general fund revenue impact, as you can see, now that we're looking at 403, which is the Jetty, I've heard it pronounced both ways, project. It does generate some M&O revenue, but definitely not the revenue that we were accustomed to receiving under the Chapter 313 agreements. So some, but again, you know, we're also going to experience the economic expansion as a result of it, and the jobs and so forth. So it does increase our tax base. Debt service, it's taxed fully at the debt service level, so that increases our capacity for bond elections in the future. If we decide to do that, it helps us build capacity in making those future bond payments. So that's a definite plus there. Next steps, as I mentioned, consideration by the board to approve the jetty, and that will be an action item later in this meeting. Notify the governor. And then the governor's office must notify GCC ISD within 7 days of their approval. And then if the governor and the ISD execute the agreement, it must be submitted to the comptroller within 7 days. And here is just the board action, the motion language whenever the time comes that you can utilize for passing that motion. Mr. O'Hanlon, Ms. Mathias, do you all have any comments or?
Yeah, first off, I want to say thanks for being here, but this project you've seen before, so that shouldn't be news to you. The statute is a lot more directive in terms of what the financial terms are, so that there's not going to be a lot of wiggle room. We can talk a little bit about the pluses and cons. There's a closed meeting and we can talk about it in the back. Let me say this about what's up for tonight. Tonight, the task is the legislature moves in mysterious ways, but tonight the task is to say whether you are agreeable to the possibility of entering into an agreement. It doesn't mean that you have to agree to the agreement. I'd never argued that you should do that in bad faith. But if the terms end up being unacceptable to you or something of that nature, we could also walk, well, we always walk prior to final approval. So what happens is that if you say you're amenable to this, the governor's office will prepare a draft. We'll go back and forth a little bit between us and the company and all that. We'll bring you some language, some of which you're not going to like because the governor's office insists on that kind of their way or the highway, to be honest with you. We recently got a concession out of them on one major issue with respect to recapture or the possibility of that. But the value here is twofold. If you approve this, you get significant assistance. It's fully taxable for debt service purposes. So it will have either a compression rate on your debt tax rate or allow you to issue additional debt. That is, if SB 18 doesn't pass and you don't get bonds reduced at $10 million a year. On the other hand, because of, if you recall 313, we gave 100% abatement, and then we got some of that back in a pilot payment. In this, it's not 100% abatement, 50% because it's not in a enterprise zone. 50% of the value goes on your tax rolls. 50% of the price value of the property. Most of which the state's going to get back in the form of either recapture or because you're headed for that direction. But you're going to get the revenues on half of the value of the project times 8 cents, which is the golden pennies, and that's money that you wouldn't have had if they don't build it. So there's a little bit of benefit. It's not as much as 313, but so that's kind of the deal. There's not a lot of wiggle room. Most of this is constrained by statute, not even the governor's office. But we'll try and, if you guys try and pursue, we'll try and are interested in this, we'll pursue this as aggressively.
Thank you, Mr. O'Hanlon. Did you have anything to add, Ms. McGinnis?
I just want to add that during construction, there's no M&O taxes during the construction period. That's a change from 313, where the first 2 years during construction were taxable. And they changed that where during construction, 0 M&O taxes. Fully taxed for INS during construction, but 0 for M&O.
Thank you very much. Before we open it up to the floor for any questions from the floor, since this is a public hearing, just wanted to summarize. One of our local plants in Chambers County called NRG is looking to expand. In the course of doing so, they must come before the Board of Trustees to determine if the board is agreeable to this expansion, since it is a part of the tax base of Goose Creek CISD. That's what the presentation is tonight. We have the experts in the room advising that this would be a favorable thing for our community, as it will increase our overall taxable base, and it will also provide jobs. So that is the summary of the wonderful presentation you just did, but I wanted to just do a quick summary for anyone in the audience that might have a question for our experts. Then if no further, and the board has no questions, before I ask Mr. O'Hanlon to join in on the choir, we want to thank you for your presentation tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Flood, you'll introduce our group.
Good evening, President Brott Tim, school board members, and Dr. O'Brien. The opening exercises for Tuesday, May 6th, Board of Trustees meeting will be provided by the students from De Zavala Elementary School. Deasia Christopher and Alina Rodriguez will be presenting the pledges. We'll begin the opening ceremonies with a prayer led by Ms. Brott Timms. Everyone please rise for the prayer and remain standing for the pledges.
Would you bow your heads with me, please? Lord, as we gather for this meeting, we ask for your guidance and wisdom. May we have open hearts and minds to listen to each other and work together for the betterment of our schools and our students. Grant us the strength to make decisions that will benefit the entire community. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. The students from Days of All Elementary will be singing the songs entitled Responsible and Hold On to Your Dream. The students under the direction of music teacher Miss Heather Ramirez and principal Miss Leah Abbott. At this time, I'll turn it over to our little performers.
Responsible. I'm able to respond. I'm able, yeah, response. Able. I'm able to respond.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. And I see Ms. Rowland over there too. And wonderful job by these students. Let's give them one more round of applause. Where's Ms. Abbott? Parents, if you'll stand up and let us give you a round of applause as well. Thank you for bringing your kids and supporting us tonight.
All right. At
Back to
this
you, Mr.
time, I will
Flood.
turn it over to Dr. Ray Levan for the first set of recognitions and acknowledgements.
Good evening, Dr. O'Brien, Board of Trustees. It's a pleasure to be with you today. We are lucky enough to have count them, 1, 2, 3, 4 acknowledgements for the Fine Arts Department today. First, it is with great pride that I would like to recognize Miss Melody McMurray, an exceptional visual arts student at Goose Creek CISD, for her remarkable national achievement in the field of ceramics. You'll really want to clap after this part. Out of more than 1,100 entries, included over 650 submissions for 11th and 12th grade students nationwide, Melody's artwork was selected as one of only 150 pieces to be showcased at the prestigious National Council on Education for the Ceramic Arts NCECA conference in Salt Lake City, Utah. Melody's accomplished, yeah, you can clap for that too. And her accomplishment did not just stop at national recognition. She was also rewarded a scholarship to attend a nationally renowned summer art camp and an annual scholarship to the Kansas City Art Institute for undergraduate study. Only 15 students in the country received this level of distinction, making Melody's recognition not only a personal milestone, but also a historic moment for our district. So let's give her one more round of applause. Next, it is with great excitement that I recognize 2 outstanding students from Goose Creek CISD who have achieved national honors through the prestigious Scholastic Art and Writing Awards competition. Congratulations to Abigail Garcia for her piece Between Dreams, and Nayeli Perez, Thing 1 and Thing 2, and they have their artwork with them today. Both students are under the direction of Miss Annie Watson at Ross S. Sterling High School and were named National Award winners, a distinction awarded to the top creative works submitted by students across the United States. Abigail and Nayeli will be formally honored at the National Scholastic Art and Writing Award ceremony in New York City in early June, an extraordinary opportunity and a testament to their hard work, creativity, and commitment to excellence. Please join me in recognizing these students one more time. Next, we will be recognizing our TDEA All-State Dance students. This honor is the very highest honor a student can achieve from the Texas Dance Education Association. Our All-State dancers are Miss Reese Harvey, senior from Ross S. Sterling, and she serves as the colonel of the Sterling Stars, and her directors are head director Miss Lori Alexander and assistant director Joanna Isis. Next, from Robert E. Lee, Destiny Seha. She is also a senior. She serves as the colonel for the Robert E. Lee Celebrities, and her directors are head director Miss Alice Hendrickson and assistant director Miss Morgan Galvan. And last but certainly not least, we have Ms. Kiara Marie Cormier, senior from Goose Creek Memorial High School. She serves as the captain for the GCM Dazzlers, and her directors are head director Angie Upshaw and assistant director Julia Birch. Our last fine arts recognition this evening will be students who have been recognized for their outstanding work at the State Visual Arts Scholastic event. These students were selected from among over 32,000 regional entries from across the state of Texas and nearly 2,500 pieces being selected at the state level. A remarkable achievement that reflects the strength of our visual arts programs and the dedication of our educators. First, from Lee High School, we have Miss Wisdom Jordan, as well as Mr. Jose Ramos under the direction of their teacher, Miss Melissa Rangel. And for the record, Miss Wisdom, she was unable to be with us today, but she is a 3-time state qualifier, and she is in the 11th grade. So she has qualified for state every year that she has been competing. Next, from Ross S. Sterling High School, again, we have Miss Annie Watson with 2 of her state qualifying students, Miss Sylvia Marisagan and Nayeli Perez. Also, we have one young lady that could not attend, but let's give her a round of applause anyway. Her name is Miss Megan Griffin. She also qualified for state from Sterling. All right. Good job, Dr. O'Brien. We saw that. Noble effort. Last but not least, Goose Creek Memorial High School, we have Miss Prathna Singh, who is a 2-time state vase qualifier, and she has 2 pieces, and she has both of her art teachers here. I'm sorry. I need to look up, don't I? Brandy Aguilar and Jonna Morris. Thank you so much again, and thank you for the opportunity to recognize all of our wonderful fine arts students.
Good evening, President Barat Timms, members of the board, and Dr. O'Brien. Tonight, the Career and Technical Education Department is proud to recognize an outstanding group of students and educators who have achieved superior honors at their respective state competitions in the areas of Future Business Leaders of America and Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America. These exceptional students not only demonstrated academic and technical excellence, but they also showcased leadership, teamwork, and innovation. We are thrilled to share that each of these students recognized tonight has advanced to compete at the national level in June. Let's begin by recognizing our FBLA winners from Goose Creek Memorial High School. Their parliamentarian procedure team placed first in the state. Please join me in congratulating Patrick Board Jr., Luis Gomez Quasmacine, Maximiliano Gonzalez, Clayton Wood II, They are led by their dedicated advisors, Mr. Freeman and Ms. Rios. Next, we honor our FCCLA winners from Stewart Career Tech High School. The Food Innovation Team placed first at the state competition. Congratulations to Eric Gonzalez and Alex Lopez.
We're trying to get our next ones in here, sorry. It's a little crowded out there. I don't know if y'all.
Well, there's a lot of people out there. Let me get my thoughts together really quick. We have a great group of individuals here today. So first off, let me go ahead and get started. So good evening, President Barat Timms and Superintendent Dr. O'Brien and members of the board and any guests that are in the building today. It's truly my honor tonight to recognize an exceptional group of educators, our physical education cohort teachers who have also shown unwavering dedication to both their students and to their own professional growth. The past few years, with funding from Be Well Baytown, a group of our PE teachers have committed themselves to enhancing the district's comprehensive physical activity programming through advanced training in CATCH, our coordinated approach to child health, and the integration of best practices in physical education. Their efforts extend beyond the classroom and into the culture of their campus environment, making physical activity more engaging, inclusive, and impactful for every student. Members of this group have also led staff training and not only at not only the local level, but at the state association, TAFERD, the Texas Association of Health and Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance. TAFERD is over 101 years old, and a historically interesting fact is that in 1974 and 1975, Carmel Norton, an avid golfer of Goose Creek Country Club, represented Goose Creek CISD as the president. Some of these physical educators have stepped into specific leadership roles within TAFERD organization, and even here locally on our Goose Creek CISD SHAC committee, or as a campus champion, to sustain and address the needs of creating healthier school environments. Their work directly supports the Board of Trustees' physical activities goals outlined in our local school wellness policy, goals that prioritize quality instruction, increased activity opportunities, and a holistic approach to wellness. Thanks to their leadership, we are making meaningful progress toward creating a district where daily movement and lifelong health are foundational parts of every student's experience. On behalf of the athletic department, I want to thank Amanda Kennington for her relentless effort to build up the Goose Creek Physical Education Department. You have You have definitely been a true leader for our PE coaches and a tremendous asset to Goose Creek CISD. Also want to thank this dedicated cohort of educators for going above and beyond. You're not only shaping stronger bodies, but you're also shaping healthier minds, building confident leaders, and bringing our wellness policy to life in real and measurable ways. So congratulations and thank you for the work that you do every single day. I'm gonna go ahead and call their names out. And as I call their names, they're gonna walk up to you, Dr. O'Brien. From San Jacinto Elementary, Bruce Cortez. From Banuelos Elementary, Justin Capetillo. And John Hackett from Banuelos, no? Okay. From Austin Elementary, Rachel Duty. It's okay. From Harlem Elementary, Charles Johnson. From Highlands Elementary, Cameron Kotlars. From Highlands Elementary, Joe Kuntz. From De Zavala Elementary, Marcus Limbrick. Wow. Do we have from De Zavala Elementary, Angela Rowland? From Alamo Elementary, Amanda Lucas. From Carver Elementary, Jamie Reese. From San Jacinto Elementary, Kristen Reyes. From Travis Elementary, Stormy Selman. From Pumphrey Elementary, Jennifer Starr. From Carver Elementary, Tony St. Julian. From Harlem Elementary, Sherry Young. From Asheville Smith, Cynthia Martinez. And from Clark Elementary, Wayne Skelton. Thank you.
All right, good evening, President Timms, board members, Dr. O'Brien. The area executive directors for campus leadership would like to recognize our participants of the Pathways Academy. This Pathways Academy is a unique leadership development program for our classroom teachers with a master's degree who aspire to lead in an administrative role. This program is designed to equip prospective leaders with a comprehensive overview of the principalship. Participants were chosen after an application process which included submission of their resume, quality of responses to short essay questions, which were scored using a rubric created by a district committee, and a favorable recommendation from their principal. Participants engaged in discussions and activities around topics that included instructional leadership, climate and culture, professional learning communities, human resources, and preparedness for administrative interviews. We are very proud of the work and commitment that these participants have had, and we look forward to seeing the impact that they will have in our district. All right, from Horace Mann, we have Ashley Amin. From Cedar Bow Junior High, we have Jade Cherry. From Bowie Elementary, we have Krista Colomb. From Ashbel Smith Elementary, we have Corey Cooper Sweat. From Sterling High School, we have Bria Emanuel. From Crockett Elementary, Christina Fernandez. Also with us is Latanza Haggerty Allen from Highlands Junior School. We also have Udmara Mateo from San Jacinto Elementary. From Gentry Junior School, Kamisha Simpson. From Crockett Elementary, Jennifer Villiel. And from Pumphrey, we have Kirsty Williams. We had a total of 16. 5 couldn't be here with us this evening, but we appreciate all of your hard work. Thank you very much.
All right, good evening, President Barat Timms, Dr. O'Brien, Board of Trustees. 2 years ago, the community engagement team set a goal to increase support for non-English speaking families in our schools. And from there, the Hispanic Outreach Initiative was born. I'm honored to share the podium tonight with Mima Trujillo. This is the district's extremely talented multimedia design specialist and leader of this work. On May 1st, we hosted the second annual Dia del Nino celebration. This year's event builds on the success of last year, and I'd like to first note that we recently learned that our first Dia del Nino district event earned the Best in Category Award for special events by the Texas School Public Relations Association. So essentially, this award is giving Goose Creek CISD the title of having the best community engagement event in the state. Dia del Nino Children's Day is a beloved tradition dedicated to celebrating kids simply for being kids. Held at Goose Creek Memorial High School, this year's event welcomed over 3,000 children and families. The district-wide celebration was a result of year-long planning effort led by Mima and Veronica Dyson, our district translator.
Thanks to the support of our sponsors, we raised $6,500, and we're grateful to our title sponsor, Onyx Group Realtor, gold sponsors, DBT Technologies and Enterprise Products, into Niagara Bottling Company for providing water for the entire event. Family First ER also sponsored our Family Loteria, a Goose Creek CIC themed version of the traditional Mexican bingo game. And these sponsorships are going to support a series of upcoming parent meetings held in Spanish, and this will create a space for our Spanish-speaking families and ensuring that every parent has access to resources, information, and support they need to help their children to become gigantes or giants. Last, we would like to take a moment to honor the hardworking committee members who make this event possible. So please come to the front when your name is called. First of all, my partner in crime, Veronica Dyson, Stephanie Aguilar, Bree Alcaraz, Iracema Cisneros, Brenda Villanueva, and Auralia Isnaga. I'd also like to note that we had over 90 high school students, volunteers who supported the event, and parent volunteers as well. So please join me in another round of applause for this awesome group. Thank you.
Also, I'd like to note you have one of the event brochures that supported in winning the TSPR award, so feel free to dig into that. And I think some treats from the event.
Excuse the intermission.
Okay. Good evening, President Barat-Timms, Superintendent O'Brien, Board of Trustees, and distinguished guests. We're thrilled to be here today to recognize the accomplishments of Goose Creek CISD and our greater Baytown community in the 2025 Healthier Texas Community Challenge, which is a statewide initiative designed to promote healthier lifestyle across Texas through a friendly competition and community involvement. Out of hundreds of communities and school districts across Texas, Goose Creek CISD proudly earned second place overall with 5.7 million total points, which is an 88% increase from 2024. An amazing accomplishment that reflects the energy, enthusiasm, and dedication of our schools, staff, students, and families. We're honored to welcome Councilwoman Laura Alvarado from the City of Baytown, who joins us tonight to celebrate this joint success. Baytown also earned second place in the medium city category for their outstanding commitment to the Healthier Texas Community Challenge. Councilwoman Alvarado, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Amanda. So we led this charge for 8 weeks and we did it. So our community stood out thanks to the dedication of all of the members who took part in daily logging of all of our activities. I wish the walk from the grass out there in here would have counted. But we can't forget, it's just not the 8 weeks, it's continuing and keeping that going. And so it's healthy cooking, it's walking, it's jumping, it's eating nutritious meals, even when you're out. So make those healthy choices. So this award is a testament to the power of collective action. It shows what happens when a school district and a city truly embrace the spirit of wellness and has a little competition along the way. And now we want to take a moment to recognize someone who has gone above and beyond. You probably already know who this is. And not just for the district, but for the entire city. And for the entire state, excuse me, the entire state. So please join us in celebrating Mr. Sam Chapa, who has once again proven himself as a wellness superstar. He's got an invisible cape back there. So Sam has earned the title of top individual points leader in the state of Texas and our local champion for the 5th year in a row. Amanda?
I'm gonna let you do that. So it's the little one and the medal and that Texas flag since it's the state of Texas. That's right. He's a quintuple champion. Sam's dedication, consistency, and encouragement have inspired so many within our community to take part and stay active. We're incredibly proud of your leadership, Sam. So he's receiving his quintuple trophy, his community medal, and a Texas flag since he has the most points in the entire state out of about 13,000 people. So very proud of him for that. Of course, we can't forget about the schools that showed outstanding participation this year. We're proud to recognize the top 3 GCCIC campuses that earned the most points in their respective categories. And this year's recipients of the coveted Salad Bowl Trophy. These are sponsored by Awards and Engraving. We also celebrated the school staff with a breakfast supported by Be Well Baytown and the GCCIC Employee Wellness Department.
All right. So each of these campuses rally their communities in creative and committed ways. Their energy made a real impact by demonstrating what school spirit and healthy habits can achieve. So as I call your school, please join us at the front to accept your award. And then once all schools have been announced, then we'll do a group photo. So the Salad Bowl Trophy is awarded to Lee High School, Principal Ernest Brooks, and Wellness Champion Stephen Bingham. Lee High School was the top 10 campuses in the state with 1.3 million points. Come on up. Of course, it's my alma mater. Yours was too, wasn't it? Board member? Yes, don't walk away. We need the group photo. So the junior high school salad bowl trophy is awarded to E.F. Green Jr. So the principal is Dr. Alicia Babin and wellness champion Carla Arellano. Are they here? Ms. Arellano inspired others to participate with a whopping 347 referrals. All right, and last but certainly not least, the elementary school salad bowl trophy is awarded to Harlem Elementary for Principal Betty Baca and wellness champion Sherry Young. This is Harlem's third year as salad bowl champions. Congratulations to each of you.
So as we finish up, the success is made possible by those who pledge their support. Thank you, Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees, for your pledges, district and campus administration for your support, our School Health Advisory Council, Be Well Baytown Collaborative, and the City of Baytown. Goose Creek CISD and Baytown have shown what's possible when community prioritizes health. Thank you for support, and let's aim for #1 next year.
All right, this concludes our recognitions and acknowledgement. At this time, I will turn it back over to Dr. O'Brien and the Board of Trustees.
All right. Let me see where I'm at.
Does anybody think Mr. Flood should get the trophy for the longest presentation?
He didn't set the agenda. All right, Mr. Flood. Well, thank you. We will know next time. Okay, now we move to number 5 on our agenda, and that is citizen participation. Noemi, do we have any citizens participating tonight? Okay. And before I go into my spiel, if anyone had arrived late, we did look into our policy and that and I know some was kind of confused on signing in, but we can't allow you to come after the time to be able to speak, but we're glad you're here anyway. We thank you. So citizen participation is the time during which the board will hear public concerns or public comments from those who have properly signed up to address the board. At regular board meetings, the board will allow public comments regardless of whether the item is a topic on the agenda posted with notice of this meeting. Each speaker is reminded that he or she is limited to his or her presentation to a maximum of 3 minutes, which can be further reduced or limited by the presiding officer, as Mr. Campisi will keep the time. Please also remember you should respect confidentiality concerns and refrain from attacking the personal character of any individual, student, staff member, or board member in addressing concerns or comments pursuant to state of Texas law and board policy, be legal that the board cannot consider or take action or concerns at this meeting unless they pertain to an item on the posted agenda for this meeting. Any deliberation or decisions on an item that is not posted for consideration at this meeting shall be limited to a proposal to place the subject on the agenda for future meetings. Okay, we will get started with our folks. So Mr. Flood, you have everything ready? So our first up, our guest card is Mr. Jim Coffey.
All right, we're going to try something a little different this time so I don't interrupt the speakers. There's a timer on our desk right here. You'll be able to see the time just like we do. It'll turn red at the end, and you'll be able to see a real time. It's right here. I will also alert you. I'm not going to interrupt at the 1 minute mark. We'll see if this works out better for you. You can begin when you're ready.
I'll try to talk fast. Can you hear me?
You have plenty of time.
All right. I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees to let me speak and nominate my mom, Karen Coffey, for the naming of the Professional Development and Events Center. As requested, thanks to help from Ms. Garcia, I've submitted the nomination in writing that I hope the board takes the time to read. And as I did that, as I wrote that up, I thought I knew my mom well, but holy smokes, I can't believe all the stuff she did for this district. Her career expanded 50 years from 1969 till she retired in 2019, and I think everybody in the district just about knows her. And so what I'd like to do is, in getting all that done, I had some peers that gave me a lot of information. So I'm going to read real fast some comments from two of those peers that gave letters of recommendation. First is renowned national author Ruby K. Payne. She says, I first met Karen when I came to work for GCCISD in 1992 as Director of Professional Development. She was in the central office in the role of providing training for the elementary schools in the areas of reading and language arts. She had already been with the district for several years, and in the years that I worked with her, I learned that Karen was an exceptional educator in multiple ways. Her understanding of the pragmatic reality of the classroom, her innovative ways of reaching students, her exceptional understanding for students with special needs, as well as her ability to work with administrators and teachers. I started my own consulting company in 1996 and left GCCISD, but Karen went on to lead the GCCISD division of 504 interventions. She was phenomenal. Under her leadership, the district had no legal litigation for 504 issues, which is incredibly rare. Because she worked with students, parents, and educators to find solutions because of that. My consulting business has allowed me to work with over 1 million educators in the last 30 years, and I can tell you that I would put Karen in the top 10 of all educators I have ever known. She is phenomenal. Because of her nearly 50 years of commitment to GCCISD and Baytown, many individuals have been positively impacted. That impact will continue for many future generations, and the building should be named for Karen Coffey Professional Development and Event Center. The next one is from Kathy Littlefield. Karen was the Director of Intervention at GCISD for many years. After her retirement, the district contacted Karen to do Project READ professional development and to coach teachers on the implementation of Project READ. Karen Coffey greatly impacted my life and the life of my students. I am a retired teacher from GCCISD. Karen was instrumental in implementing Project READ, which is a multi-sensory language arts curriculum for classroom group settings that focuses on phonics, reading, comprehension, and writing. It's designed to honor diverse learning styles. I will never forget how my second grade students reacted the first day I used this method in my reading class, composed of hesitant below-level reading students. Their eyes lit up as they used manipulatives to learn phonics. I heard surprised remarks such as, this is reading? It was fun. Can we do this again tomorrow? So as we continue the year, those no longer hesitant readers looked forward to this new avenue of learning. I felt empowered by knowing how to help my students learn and attended every Project READ professional development given by Karen. I was her prize student, even opting to repeat the same project workshops more than once. It was life-changing for me and helped me be a better educator. I have had my former students tell me, thanks for making learning to read easier for them. I say thanks to Karen Coffey for recognizing the need and knowing how to fix it. Karen Coffey greatly impacted the children, parents, and teachers across GCCISD. Her impact is felt by our grown students as they are now better prepared for life.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We now will have next Ms. Sandra Duree.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Start by stating your name and what you're speaking on.
Okay, Sandra Duree, and I am wanting to recommend Karen Coffey for to name the building the Professional Development Center for her.
And it is my honor to recommend that to you. She is my colleague and she is my friend. Karen is a living legend in Goose Creek. In a career that spanned decades, she was a pioneer in many ways. She forged a path for at-risk kids and dedicated her life to providing the support, tools, and training needed to ensure their success. After many years of substituting in Goose Creek and raising a family, Karen's full-time career began at Crockett Elementary, where she quickly found her niche. She was working with students who struggled. Whether the struggle was behavior, a learning disability, or an emotional issue, Karen never gave up. Based on her success and methodology in this area, she was asked in 1992 to take on a new role as the lead teacher for Project Read. 6 months later, I was hired in a parallel role to be the lead teacher for dyslexia. This gave me a front row seat to witness firsthand the magic of strategic methodology and strategic professional development in the hands of a master. Karen was a pioneer in this area. She would go into classrooms and would teach lessons with the highest needs kids while their teachers watched. I want you to think about the courage that took. Whether it was whole group or small group, she would engage the students in a meaningful way. The teachers would observe their students interacting and experiencing success like never before. She would then provide training for the teachers to learn the strategies and methods. These sessions were held in the evenings, on Saturdays, in the summer, and as you can imagine, the rooms were always full. I still work in the area of professional development, and it's amusing to me to see the current trend in PD, see it, name it, do it. Karen Coffey was using that strategy 30 years ago. Her ability to connect with students and staff served Karen well in her subsequent roles. She later became the director of dyslexia in 504. A key part of that job was training and leading the dyslexia specialist, but Karen also realized the value of teaching all teachers how to support struggling students. As her job evolved over time, she provided oversight for kindergarten, pre-K, homebound students, and positive behavior supports. In each role, she utilized professional development as a primary tool in equipping staff for success. So much of Karen's success was her ability to connect with people, to help teachers understand the specific learning needs of the student, to help parents understand the difficulty the child was facing, and to help everyone work together to meet the needs of the child. In each role, Karen forged a trail. I always said she stood in the gap for kids. The gap is that space where kids are often lost or left behind. Karen stood in that space to provide teachers, parents, and students the knowledge, the information, and the tools needed to experience success. I can't imagine a more appropriate name for your new professional development center than the Karen Coffey Professional Development Center. Thank you.
Time.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, did I get it right on time?
Thank you again. We next have on our guest card is Kaizen Coffee.
Same thing, your time will show on my iPad on my desk right here, if you'll state your name and who you're speaking about.
Okay. My name is Kaizen Coffee, and I'm proud to nominate Karen Coffee for the naming of the Professional Development Events Center. Karen happens to be my mother, and while I wasn't always present to see the full scope of her work within the school district, I witnessed time and again her unwavering love and dedication to her students, especially her own children and grandchildren. She taught me when I was young, instilling in me the skills and confidence to excel academically during my undergraduate career. What stands out to me most in my memories is watching her work with her granddaughter, who was severely dyslexic and faced numerous challenges in learning and reading. Karen poured her heart and expertise into helping her, and she overcame many obstacles that might have seemed insurmountable to others. Today, Jada Menard is a senior at Goose Creek Memorial High School, and she's set to graduate 44th in her class, placing her in the top 8% of that school. And if Jada were here standing right now, she would tell you how much her Meemaw meant to her and how instrumental Karen was in achieving all she has accomplished. Karen Coffey's impact goes far beyond teaching. She changed thousands of lives, inspired success among students and teachers alike. For this reason, I am honored to submit her name for this recognition. And I do have one letter I'd like to read from a former principal and administrator in the district is named Dick Howe. It is an honor for me to make the recommendation for consideration of Karen Coffey for the naming of the Professional Development Event Center. Karen Coffey and I worked together for many years in Goose Creek. When I opened the new Crockett Elementary School, Ms. Coffey was one of the teachers who helped me so much to achieve our goal. Children come first in all the decisions. Karen served all the special education teachers. It was evident how much she loved the children she taught. It was inspiring to observe her teach children in such a kind and thoughtful manner. The children paid her back in their respect and love for her. Often parents of her students had obligations at work and weren't able to make the meetings during school days. So Karen was always willing to meet before and after school to involve the parents in the child's education plans. To illustrate her dedication and level of professionalism, I am reminded of the time when I was enrolling a child who suffered with spina bifida. This enrollment was to present an extremely difficult situation for any teacher because of the extra demands required to meet the child's physical needs, as well as instruct the other students in the class. I was so thankful that Karen was the special education teacher because I knew how loving her response would be. Karen was wonderful, and she worked in various ways for the little boy to be a true blessing for those of us who had interacted with him. Ms. Coffey and I had another opportunity to work together after I was an assistant superintendent for the curriculum and instruction. On that occasion, Karen was working on a position to assist teachers in developing instructional skills for students who are having difficult time with reading. Karen again served the district in a professional, loving, and dedicated manner, which could always be expected from her because of her love for children and her love for Goose Creek. I'm happy to recommend Karen Coffey for this nomination.
Time.
Respectfully, Richard Houghton. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next guest card will be Ruben Escalon.
Good evening. You'll have 3 minutes. Your time will be right here. State your name and what you're speaking on, and you may begin.
My name is Ruben Escalon. I'm speaking for the maintenance department, speaking on the achievements and a couple of concerns. Good evening, President Barat Timms, Dr. O'Brien, and esteemed board members. My name is Ruben Escalon, and I am the supervisor of trades in the maintenance department. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you this evening regarding our achievements and the challenges we face. Firstly, I would like to highlight the remarkable work of our department has accomplished. Last year, we completed over 12,000 work orders, and I am proud to report that as of today, we have already matched that number this year. We are on track to exceed 15,000 work orders by the end of the year, which represents an increase of more than 25% compared to the previous year. However, it's important to acknowledge that the increase in productivity has come with challenges. Due to staffing losses within our department, the workload has significantly increased for the remaining employees. Despite this added pressure, I can confidently say that our team has risen to the occasion. Their dedication and tremendous work ethic have been key to our success. Yet, we must ask ourselves, how long can they maintain this pace? This is the critical question we face as we move forward. Tonight we gather not just to celebrate our achievements, but to collaborate on finding sustainable solutions. It is essential to ensure that our employees remain motivated and supported so they can continue to strive for success and meet the goals set for our district. Thank you for your attention and support on behalf of the Maintenance Department. Together we can foster an environment that not only recognizes hard work, but also prioritizes the well-being of our employees.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker will be on our guest card is Fred Miller.
Good evening. You can begin when you're ready. Start with your name and what you're speaking about.
Fred Miller on behalf of our maintenance department. Good evening, President, School Board, Dr. O'Brien. You've just heard Ruben Escalon speak. Ruben started his career as a building mechanic, moved up to a carpenter, then the night crew supervisor, and is now trades department supervisor. Another good example is Billy Peacock. He started in the grounds department, moved to maintenance as a building mechanic, and now is our gate and overhead door manager. We have several others. The list is long of achievements, great achievements that we've made as a department. And I'll put our department against any department in the state of Texas. No brag, just facts. I myself started at the brick department, doing brick, stucco, ceramic tile. I've trained in carpenter work, floor coverings for the district. I'm now the planner scheduler. I work under Ruben, who's a delight to work for. I've been employee of the month, employee of the quarter, and employee of the year. I've excelled and do an excellent job for the district. And for our hard work as a team and our dedication, we have lost 2 bereavement days, 3 holidays, our pension plan, and the ability to drive our company trucks home. Our insurance is very inconsistent. I know of 2 people in the trades department that this year the policy doesn't cover their diabetes medicine that the last year's covered. In closing, I understand the challenges of balancing budgets and the tough decisions y'all have to make. But there was nothing gained in the budget by taking our bereavement days and our holidays. Please consider giving them back as a show of appreciation for our hard work and dedication. And please consider our other concerns as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And our next guest to speak this evening is A.R. Rusty Sinak.
Welcome, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening.
Appreciate it. My name's Rusty Sinak, and I'm here representing the Baytown West Chambers County Economic Development Foundation this evening. I'll just be a moment. BJ Simon, who is our president, could not be here tonight, so I'm here to sort of fill in, sort of just in case. But we're here to support the Cedar Bayou 5 generating project, which is extremely important not only to our area to help promote our continued growth with industry and jobs here, but also for the actually for the Texas grid, for the ERCOT grid. I think I'm not going to make any sort of a presentation. I think your financial people are going to do that, but we just wanted to show our support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, moving on. We'll go to next agenda item. Naomi, that completes our citizen participation. We will now move to our approval of minutes on number 6. And we will go through each of the minutes because we have to have it on record for the board. So as we proceed, for the meeting minutes from March 21st for budget workshop, do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Motion, motion for Mr. Clem, second by Mr. Campisi. Do we have any discussion? There being no further discussion, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. Any opposed? And any sustaining? Okay. Abstention? Okay, 1. So 6, 4, and 1. Okay, as we move next to our 6B, our March 31st special board meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion to approve by Ms. Guy and second by Mr. Clem. Do we have any discussion from any There being no further discussion, all in favor, please raise your hand. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Any opposed? Any abstention? 2. Okay, motion carries. Our next is for our regular board meeting on April the 7th. Do I have a motion for approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion for approval by Mr. Clem, second by Mr. Campisi. Any discussion? There being no further discussion, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, 5 in favor. Any abstentions? 2. Okay. Motion carries. Okay, we will now move to number 7 on our agenda, and that is the issue certification of elected to the newly elected board members. I think
I'd like to invite Mr. Brandon Benoit up to certify the board members. The oath of office.
Oath of office.
So would you like for the newly slated board members to come to you, sir? Come around. All together.
Good. Age before beauty.
That's right.
Left hand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I, Howard Sampson, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Goose Creek CISD, Single Member District 1, Board of Trustee of the State of Texas, and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of this state, so help me God. Congratulations. Mr. Renteria. Place your left hand on raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Mercedes Renteria III.
Mercedes Renteria III.
Do solemnly swear or affirm. That I will faithfully. Execute the duties. Of the office. Of Goose Creek CISD. Single Member District 2. Board of Trustee. Of the State of Texas. And will. To the best of my ability. Preserve, protect, and defend. The Constitution. And laws of the United States. And of this state. So help me God. Mr. Clem. I, Richard Clem. Do solemnly swear. That I will faithfully. Execute the duties. Of the office. Of Goose Creek CISD. Single Member District 4. Board of Trustee. Of the State of Texas. And will. To the best of my ability. Preserve, protect, and defend. The Constitution. And laws of the United States. And of this state. So help me God. Right hand, repeat after me. I, Helen Barat Timms. Do solemnly swear. That I will faithfully. Execute the duties. Of the office. Of Goose Creek CISD. Single Member District 5. Board of Trustees. Of the State of Texas. And will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
Thank you, Mr. Benoit. That locks them into another term. Correct? All right.
You didn't tell me that.
I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, thanks, Tiffany. When you have a good assistant here. Whew, my time just winding down. I'm too excited. Anyway. It just, huh? I just began, but in certain seats here. Okay, now we recess into closed session. This board will now recess into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Private consultation with the board attorney on any or all subjects or matters authorized by law, reorganization of board of trustees, discussion of purchase, exchange, lease, or value of properties in recognition of Texas Government Section Code 551.073, 551.074, 551.075, 551.076, 551.082, 551.083, 551.084, 551.087. No action will be taken while the board is in closed session. It is now 7:40. The board will now reconvene into open session. The time is now 7:59. No action was taken while the board was in closed session. Okay, we will now move to reorganization of the Board of Trustees. I will now call for nominations for the president of Goose Creek CISD Board of Trustees. Any nominations?
Ms. Brought-Thames, I'd like to nominate James Campisi to be president.
I second.
Okay. It has been motion and second. Motion by Mr. Clem and second by Jesse. And all in favor? Any discussions?
I have a discussion real quick. First of all, I accept the nomination. Second of all, because of technical issues as far as our seating up here and computer availability, I would like this to take effect at the close of the meeting, if the board would agree.
Okay. Okay.
I'll amend my motion to include that.
Great. Thank you.
Second.
It has been amended and second of the discussion from Mr. Campisi. So as we move forward, there's been, okay, I'll call for, there's been no further discussion. All in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimously. Okay. Now I make a motion for vice president of the Board of Trustees for Goose Creek CISD.
I would like to nominate Mr. Clem.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay. It's been motion and second. Motion by Ms. Guy, second by Mr. Campisi. Any discussion? Okay, no further discussion. All in favor, please raise your hand. One, unanimous. Okay, now I would like to make a motion for secretary of the Board of Trustees of Goose Creek CISD.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Guy.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been nominated by Ms. Guy has been nominated by Mr. Clem and second by Mr. Campisi. All in, any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous, all it carries. Okay. Now, for Assistant Secretary of the Board of Trustees of Goose Creek CISD.
I would like to nominate Mr. Martinez.
Second.
Okay. Mr. Martinez has been nominated by Ms. Guy and second by Mr. Clem. Any discussion? It's going twice. Okay. All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay. Garcia is unanimous. Oh, good deal. That's it.
Before we move on, Madam President, I would like to publicly congratulate you on a year well served. And on behalf of the rest of this board, we appreciate your leadership for the past year. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Campisi. Thank you, thank you. Well, thank you all, and for bearing with us and me during this time. And I am the most happiest person in the room tonight. Just they didn't want to shuffle tonight, so I'm going to keep it going on. And the next meeting, y'all will see another face right here. So am I happy about that? Of course. I'm here one time for you, Dr. Brian.
All right, so let's move on to our number 12, our discussion items. 12A is the superintendent's report. Our first presentation will be from a group of teachers. I'm excited to invite up to our presentation table the Superintendent Campus Connection Grant Proposal Presentations. Please come on up. When you get up here, Mr. Flood will show you how to turn the mic on, and then we will allow you to introduce yourself and talk about the project that you've identified for this calendar year to go and be implemented next school year.
It's green, it's live. Okay.
After you introduce yourself, someone please say what your purpose in being here is tonight. What was our mission?
All right, so we're representing the Superintendent Campus Connection Committee. I'm Rachel Lawson. I am a representative for the elementary schools, representing Harlem Elementary as well.
I'm Laura Pacina, and I'm representing Carver Elementary.
This year, with lots of consideration, we were trying to tackle something that seems to be occurring across all campuses, which is our response to behaviors. Positive, negative, however it may be, although yes, we got a lot more with the negative. So our elementary school proposal for this year is, or what we're breaking it down to, is we're going down campus by campus group by campus group, as in like high school, junior highs, and elementary schools. And we're proposing a grant. And our elementary school one, we're calling a behavior response grant. And we want to provide the opportunity for each campus to consider their individual needs and determine the best way to allocate grant funds. For example, we were discussing a registered behavior technician, which is an individual who would be able to de-escalate situations quickly, check in with students, everything like that. Or the funds could be used towards PBIS and awarding positive behavior and such.
Our response to in-class behaviors. Our administration, front staff, and support staff aren't always readily available to assist teachers when negative behaviors need immediate action. We also want to focus on ways to allow instruction to continue for the majority of our students. We are proposing the following: to allow each campus to evaluate their needs and develop their own behavior plan. Possible examples are positive parties, reward days, behavior incentive stores, or a house system support, etc. And or to provide a RBT, which is a registered behavior technician, to a paraprofessional to support teachers in an immediate de-escalation of negative classroom behaviors. Offer a stipend to train paraprofessionals due to the increased responsibility. These paras would be responsible for checking in with certain students regularly and providing positive reinforcement and support.
The major, the major reason why is that we determined our elementary schools need greater adult to student ratios. With our current budget and constraints, we determined the best way to assist our teachers, students, counselors, and administration is to provide behavior support to students who are not necessarily receiving specialized services. We have support staff in place for our special populations, but what about the students who are struggling to control their emotions, dealing with overwhelming situations, or our positive behavior population? Providing the opportunity for each elementary campus to determine their behavior needs and allocate funds to support and implement their plan is the focus of our grant.
So the application and the implementation. Each campus PBIS committee will assess the needs and submit the application. The application will be reviewed and will either be returned for reassessments or funds will be distributed for implementation. The implementation of the campus plan will occur September, October of 2025 and will be evaluated mid-year and end of the year. Successful plans will be shared and considered for further implementation across campuses. The funding to be determined.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You said 25, but it says 26.
That's a typo.
That was a typo.
I
Typo?
apologize.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
that was a typo.
Okay, I just.
Sorry about
wanna
that.
This
make-
fall, we're hoping for
That's-
this fall.
Hey, I'm-
This fall, yes, we would
We're
like
not
it to
gonna make them
start.
wait a whole year.
No, we would
Yeah.
like it to start
If
this
you saw
fall.
mine, you would have.
What is PBIS? What is PBIS?
PBIS is our positive behavior implementation system.
Okay.
That's it.
That's just- all
Intervention
right.
support. There you go. Yes.
So where's the grant coming from?
That would be coming from the Superintendent Campus Connection funding.
There's
We've
a
been,
line item with the superintendent.
there you go, that's it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
So we basically are gonna be funding it ourselves?
Yes, sir.
So we get a grant from ourselves?
To our campuses.
It follows a similar pattern to the Education Foundation's Innovative Teaching Grants. That's where this sort of idea came from, is to enable campuses to empower themselves to take some action to improve student behavior.
Yes.
So they developed a system, and that's what the presentation is tonight, how to go about procuring the funds, because the funds would sit there otherwise.
Yep. We were just looking at different campuses. Every campus is different. In each campus, some campuses needed more positive reinforcements, or we needed more prizes for our house parties. And so we kind of based it off of the Education Foundation grant and said, you know, what if we give it back to the schools and says, you have to choose, you can choose what you want to spend it on, but it has to be based off of behavior.
So are we gonna use existing personnel to do this? Or are we talking about hiring?
This would be with
This
existing
would be
personnel.
existing
personnel.
We've
Okay.
analyzed the different paraprofessionals currently on our campuses and tried to determine the best way to approach them if we were to go the route of the RBT training. With that being said, there has also been some other ideas tossed around with our new student services.
So, Mr. Sampson, just to be fair and transparent, it was proposed that we add one registered behavior technician to every campus, which would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.4 million. So that quickly went south, and we went to the stipend model as presented to you this evening.
But we did ask. We
$25.
did ask.
We were
did ask.
pushing for
We were
it.
pushing for one person per campus.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
So we're trying to be a little more reasonable.
That's a
Those
hard
numbers
no.
weren't coming, so
That did
we're
not
talking
happen.
about giving a stipend to certain individual teachers.
If the campus seemed necessary, they would be up to the campus. The campus could choose either or.
And with that being said, further development would need to go if that was a decision made by the campuses to make sure that it's streamlined across all campuses and it's fair and consistent.
So let me ask you a question. Are we trying to get to the point where we have one at every campus? Or are we having a person that splits campuses?
One per campus would be the dream. That would be exactly what we would like to see happen, yes.
But right now, we're gonna crawl, right? So,
Yes, yeah.
okay. And what kind of stipend we're talking about?
That would be determined once we develop the idea a little more in that situation, if we were looking towards an RBT trained paraprofessional.
Are we talking about someone who's more experienced
We were looking at
teacher or-
individuals that we were thinking about giving this more as an opportunity for our paraprofessionals that work hand in hand with our students, that have built those relationships, but they're not necessarily in a teaching position, but
Okay.
they're supporting our students. We see a lot of really good paraprofessionals that deserve to be recognized for those relationships they build, and this would be an opportunity for them to probably, most likely, apply for that position at the campus to receive that stipend.
Okay. I'm just curious. I just saw numbers running across me like, you know,
It would
the
not,
road runner was going.
unfortunately, I mean, we would love to see, upwards of like a
$2.5 million.
$2.5 million.
Yeah.
But with our current budget constraints,
Yeah.
we understand that we need to take our ideas, implement them, see how successful they are, and then reevaluate in the future.
Okay. That's all I
Mr.
have.
Sampson, just for clarification, the Superintendent Campus Connection is a group of the teachers of the year from every campus across our district who come together and meet with me once a month. And their challenge at the beginning of the year is, how do we want to improve Goose Creek? And they identify an area that they believe we may be omitting attention to. And this year's unanimous call was to address student discipline. So the programs that you're going to hear from are elementary, junior high, and high school tonight that are going to, because they're uniquely different based upon the students that they serve, they're presenting different programs to you. So you've heard the first one. We've got 2 more to go.
Oh, okay.
So again, this is a grant we created from our general
It
fund?
is. It is.
So why didn't we just put general fund grant instead of SEC? It sounded like we got a grant from the federal government or something. I'm just curious.
It's been a line item in my budget for 10 years.
Okay.
And it's a program designed to put the power back in the teacher's hands as to how we can improve our school district.
So how much money is in this?
So it is generally $50,000 up to $100,000, depending on the presentations and what the need is each year annually.
We're proposing about $2,500 per campus, which comes to approximately $80,000.
But that's the variation each year, yes.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, sir. It's a lot of kids.
But we feel it would be beneficial.
For sure.
So this will be a special assignment, if you will, for an educator that's already being paid by the school district?
It could be, potentially.
It potentially could be.
Again, this would be based on the campus needs, and so each campus would propose a plan to us that would be their behavior response grant, behavior response plan to apply for the grant to receive the funding.
Back to their presentation, it could go as a stipend to a person to go and remove a kid from a classroom, or it could go to positive behavior intervention systems rewards, like bicycles for kids who behave well for 6 weeks or something of that nature. It's up to each campus to apply for the grant and utilize it how they see fit to, in general, improve student behavior across our district, which is a very valid and important thing to do.
Our major concern was the students, the general population students that tend to get pushed to the side, that we oversee some, and we want to make sure that we implement something to help them get their best education.
Okay.
Great presentation. Thank you,
Thank
ladies.
you. I like it. Thank you.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
Okay, we're going to start charging.
This is just a discussion item.
It's a discussion.
Okay.
Fundraiser.
When will this come up, Randy? No, I'm just asking so I'll know. Oh, it's already there. It's already set aside. It's earmarked. Okay.
Okay. All right, so that was the elementary school proposal. This will be the middle school proposal.
Introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Deborah Silverberg, and I was selected to represent the middle school cohort. I represent Baytown Junior School. I am the choral director of Baytown Junior School. Warren Simpson from Cedar Bayou Junior School, Addison Ramsey from E.F. Green Junior School, Jennifer Martin from Gentry Junior School, Curti Kulkarni from Highlands Junior School, and Brittany Johnson from Horace Mann Junior School were our other representatives and teachers of the year who
why
helped.
Why didn't they show up?
I'm sorry?
Why didn't they show up and they left you holding?
Mr. Sampson.
She's the representative.
There's one spokesperson for each cohort of.
It would be nice to have 5 or 6
But
of
we
them
do
here.
have others in the audience. Would y'all like to stand up, please, and show that you're here to support? Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, Mr. Sampson.
Thank you. I'm here, Mr. Sampson, so you'll have to.
Well, I get what he's saying.
Have to make do with me.
Right? I get what you're saying. You sat through their discussion and they just left you up here by yourself, you know? I'm curious, you know?
I am a choir teacher. I'm used to performing, so
I was wondering there for a sec because you weren't speaking or saying anything.
I can
so
do
I was
it.
like, what's she doing?
All right. So
now I know.
the middle school department, We have one recommendation that will not cost a dime, and we'd like to share that with you. Dr. O'Brien shared with us that we have undergone a shift in the experience level of our faculty. Since COVID, we now have 54% of Goose Creek teachers that have less than 5 years experience. And we feel that at the middle school level particularly, middle school students need teachers who have command of a classroom.
Yep.
We propose the following 3 items for our instructional leaders at the middle school level. Number 1, we need to develop a common protocol for our new teachers that explicitly outlines common classroom disruptions and how they should be handled. Whether they want to do this on a flow chart or a one-pager, this needs to be clarified and standardized across the district and among administrators to help our new teachers. When should parents be contacted? When should office referrals be written? And when should students be removed from class? Frankly, ask 3 different administrators and you're going to get 3 different answers. And I feel as a veteran teacher, 26, 27 years now, these are questions that I sometimes still have to ask myself. And with our adjunct faculty program and alternative certification programs giving us more and more new teachers, this is something that our instructional leadership could provide to help in teacher retention. Number 2, we need to train our new teachers in parent communication, strategies to build better relationships with our community members. When you make a phone call to a parent to let them know that you've had an issue with a student, there are ways to approach that conversation so that you can let the parent know that you are on their side, that we are working together to help build a strong relationship and not tell a parent, you know what, your kid's a jerk. It could go one of 2 ways, and we need to let them know that there are ways to make that call a positive call. Number 3, train new teachers in de-escalation techniques so that the amount of time that we're spending in redirection is not taking away from instruction. So if we have our campus leadership unite to create these protocols and training, we believe that management will improve and will have a much greater chance at retaining these newer teachers. So that's our first recommendation. However, that's not a use of those grant funds that we were talking about. So next slide.
So why do we mention that if it's not a use of the grant funds? I'm just asking.
Because we felt that it was worth mentioning as a recommendation to our board and our instructional leaders, and we wanted to make sure that we brought it to your attention.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, but I'm not an educator by any means, but don't they have sponsors, like somebody that?
We do have mentors.
Yeah, mentors.
That's true, but only in the first year. And if we hire an educator who comes in their 3rd year or their 2nd year, they're not assigned a formal mentor.
Okay. So they're still
green.
Right.
They don't have a formal mentor. And if you're someone like me who's a choral director, I'm the only choral director at my school. I don't have someone to reach out to.
Right.
And so if we have this training for every teacher of under 5 years, that helps to plug some of those cracks.
Okay, I was just curious. I'm asking.
Yeah. Issue number 2, this is where our grant funding would be addressed. We suggest that for the middle school, as opposed to every school spending their money in a different way, we would like to see the middle schools pool their funding to get the Smart Pass app to help control restroom and hallway misbehavior. We believe that the majority of our middle school misbehaviors are happening in the hallways and in the restrooms. When we go from elementary school to middle school, we see a change in the routine that keeps students with the same 1 to 2 teachers all day to a very sudden burst of autonomy. Students must get to and from classes and lunch and take their water and restroom breaks on their own. And unfortunately, some students take advantage and do not use that time responsibly. Surprise, sorry. Now, we are seeing a huge growth in vaping and substance abuse, inappropriate behavior, social media challenges, and even, unfortunately, self-harm. These are taking place in the bathrooms. By law, we cannot place cameras in bathrooms and locker rooms. Administrators cannot enter restrooms, or at least they're limited in the ways that they can. The SmartPass app can prevent student meetups, quote unquote, track student usage, monitor which restrooms are being used and by whom, lock out students from being out of class at the same time if we know that certain students are tending to meet up together, and provide reports of this data. Now, the results that we expect from this is that it will allow students' physical needs to be served without question or favor, without interrupting instruction, and it will use technology that we currently own. It operates off of the iPads that we currently issue to all students. It will require all middle schools to use the behavior grant money that we anticipate from the Superintendent's Campus Connection Fund. If we pull together, because of the progressive price structure of the app, it's 5,100 students approximately, but it would only be $2 to $3 per student. Successful piloting has already taken place because Highlands Junior School has been using the app this year. So we've already tested the app at one school.
And it worked.
They love it. Any questions that you'd like to ask me?
I may be way off down a rabbit hole or something, but do they have fire alarms in the restrooms?
They can't pull the fire alarm in the restroom.
No, I'm just talking about nothing for
Smoke detectors.
Smoke detector in restrooms.
Like regular smoke detectors?
Yeah, something that could, like somebody vaping in the restroom.
Okay, we have not installed the vape detectors, if that's what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't installed those. I know that we've been looking at those, but we
Right.
haven't installed those.
That way you can detect.
I know those exist, but they're pretty pricey, is my understanding.
Dr. Price can speak to it. It has been piloted on some campuses.
Yes, we have some on some campuses, and we were supposed to finish out the rest of the campuses with none that was unsuccessful.
Yeah.
We are talking about junior high.
We don't have them at Baytown Junior.
Okay.
I can speak to that.
Okay.
We're talking about junior high campuses, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And there's smoke.
Quite a bit, sir.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was just curious about that.
Yeah.
When you said vaping.
The smoking and the vaping, unfortunately, is a problem at the junior highs.
Yeah.
And we are as proactive about it as we can be.
So thank you, Ms. Silverberg. We appreciate you. I could have queued all of you up a little bit better and letting the board know. Let's give her a round. Thank you. The Superintendent Campus Connection has been meeting for 10 years, and it is a group, as stated, 32 teachers of the year who come together and meet with me once a month. In the first meeting of the year, I put a blank easel on a blank canvas on the easel and say, here, go. And their objective is to make Goose Creek better, to find a way to improve something in Goose Creek. Teacher retention, it's ranged from the security locks, various other programs each year. So this is a once a year presentation you're getting from the Teachers of the Year. And they do nominate a representative, so you won't have 32 people up here presenting to you.
There you go.
But I queued it up a little bit better. Go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about high
Before we
school.
move on, Randy, I got a question. Do you have another line item for each of these, like junior high and high school? Like, how many line items do you got with 80,000? I'm being serious. Like, how many, is it just one line item? Just one for 80 to 100,000? Or 50, would you say? One. Just one, okay. Yeah, just making sure.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Jared Lynch from Goose Creek Memorial.
I'm Sarah Herwick from Sterling High School.
And then we do have Carla Johnson from the Virtual Academy and Kurt Kalma from Peter E. Highland in the back. We are here to represent the high schools. Basically, we found that most of our findings support the same things that everyone else is saying, that student behavior is a problem. Where it comes to tardies, truancy, loitering in the hallways. It's not just bathrooms. We found at the high school level that our issue is not in the classroom. It's in the hallways. It's the kids not where they're supposed to be. And that's affecting grades, accountability, campus safety, and all of those types of issues. We do know that with our current district budget, hiring new administrators, more security, more teachers, it's not happening. So we tried to figure out what is something we can do with the line item money that Dr. O'Brien has. With the 100,000. I want 100. He told me 50.
I know, I got you.
But
we're gonna split it. We'll split it 3 ways. 33, 33, 33, and then we'll let Randy keep
both of us. Perfect. Yeah. So what we decided to come up with at the high school level kind of encompasses what junior high and elementary said, and it kind of encompasses everybody, that we want to make this a grant system just like the Education Foundation, where there's $2,500 on the table per campus. They would have to apply for that grant, use it whichever way they determine, whether they want an RBT specialist, whether they want the hall pass system, or if they want to use it for behavior incentives.
Because what we've discovered is your traditional high schools have a different need than sometimes your non-traditional high schools. So your virtual school obviously is not going to have kids in the hallway. While your traditional high school, that's what we're going to have.
Now give me an example of each. What high school is traditional, which one?
So your traditional high schools, we're looking at Robert E. Lee, GCM, and Sterling.
Okay.
And then your non-traditionals, we're looking at Peter E. Highland, you're looking at the virtual school, and you're looking at Impact.
I got you, okay.
So
Stewart Career,
Stewart Career, they count as a traditional now.
Right.
So the main thing about the grant, however you do decide to spend it, is it does have to focus on student behavior, and it must be measurable. So what does it look like for us is that it must be measurable, linked to a SMART goal, which means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, and it addresses student behavior. So there are a few different examples that we came up with. One, an incentive program for positive behavior, which kind of is like the PBIS committee. Staff training focused on behavioral interventions, restorative justice circles, peer mentoring programs, parent engagement, or purchasing materials. So those are just examples that any school can write their grant specifically for their campus, how they decide to use it. What we have decided that the requirements for the grant, and we do have an example of the application, is that it has to propose a behavioral initiative. It has to begin no sooner than September 1st, and then it has to conclude by April 30th of that school year. So that way we can take that data and present it back to you with our findings on how well it performed, because it's going to perform well. It does have to have the SMART goal. It does have to have measurable outcomes. So at what % did we get an improvement? At what % did we reduce student issues or student behavior concerns? And then we bring it back to May 15th. The goal behind this grant is that we find a positive value in it, and then we can somehow find more line item money and sustain it for the years going forward. With that being said, we have to be very sure that each campus is making sure that they're holding their grant writer, their grant people accountable, and that they're actually getting the positive
I'm glad you brought that up. So is this the first year we're doing this?
Yes, this is our proposal. So if we love it, we love it.
But
if
Randy
you love
said he
it,
had that line item for 10 years.
But they do something. They do something different every year.
Last year they did convocation outside and bought lawn chairs.
Okay.
This
I'm just
year,
trying to.
behavior grants.
I'm just trying to put
No one asked questions about convocation at the nature center.
I'm just
No
trying to figure
questions.
out what happened to all this money we've been having here. But hey, but it's more understandable to me on the high school level because of, they're more leaning toward adults and they're, they're a little bit more mischievous. Not all the students, but
And
they
that's
can
why
be.
it's the grant system is they can use it. If the elementary finds a need somewhere specific, they can use it because those kids are going to eventually come to us in the high school level, and we would like to fix it then and not have to worry about it at the high school level. So an example of at the high school level, what we would use our $2,500 on would be a student behavioral support stipend. So what we would like to do is identify an already employed teacher, someone who's licensed, who is already teaching, and they would become a part-time outreach mentor to students that have been identified by a committee.
And we would use like all of our campuses have a PBIS committee led by one of our assistant principals who's in charge. So they would be the one responsible to keeping the mentor accountable and making sure it is going forward like it's supposed to.
So what it would look like is the principal or the PBIS committee would identify an English teacher that's well-liked, well-loved, could use an extra $2,500 in their budget, and they would give up half of their conference period a day or 2 times a week, 3 times a week, and they would use that time to meet with those kids that have been identified. Pull them out of class for a couple seconds, meet with them, say, hey, what's going on? I noticed your grades are dropping. Hey, you were absent yesterday. How are you doing? You've missed 3 days of school this week. Just to put them on the radar and know that those kids are being watched.
Won't that take away from their parent-teacher conference or call time when they're on?
That's why we're proposing they do it 2 to 3 times a week, and it's only half of their time. So you're talking 20 minutes, 3 days a week.
And that's what the stipend is for, because we are taking that time, so we are rewarding you with this money.
So if you have to
So
stay
it won't
after school,
distract from the individual teacher with the student calling their parents and having parent conferences and all that?
perfect world, no. We would hope that the teacher that is identified as this person and has the time management and the capabilities to find the time in their schedule and work around that way, those systems. The idea behind it is that they'll be the mentor, they'll help the student with goal setting, and then be that positive reinforcement. So it kind of gets those kids off of the radar, that closer to graduation, no more behavior problems. And if that all works, we've kind of solved our problems internally with $2,500 versus hiring a new person for $80,000.
Call me old school, but when we were in school and we were messing up in class, the teachers just, would pay more attention.
It's not the problem is it's not in the classroom.
Right. It's the kids in the hallway not coming to the classroom.
Yeah, they're not coming to class. They're just wandering the hallways, during the class period. And, our principals are dealing with major discipline issues, so they don't always, so those kids sometimes are missed because they're dealing with the major discipline issues rather than the kid just wandering and walking around.
And another thing we wanted to identify was that it's the 2% of the campus that is the problem. And we would rather our teachers spend their time educating the 98% instead of dealing with the 2%. So if we could have this teacher during their conference pull those 2% kids out once or twice a week and get them into shape, I think that it would be very helpful from both ends.
I would think that we would need to create a program that would restrict their going or being allowed into the hallway and being allowed to go to the restroom, especially on the high school level. You already know who those people are. They're marks.
We do, but there are a lot of barriers and obstacles that prevent that. With students transitioning from class to class, we can't keep them in one room all day. And we can't make them go to class. We can't keep them out of the bathroom. We can't throw them in ISS more than a few days of the year, or then we get into other issues. So there's no perfect world solution. We're hoping that this is a really, really, really strong Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Well said.
And that's it.
Before you guys leave, status, recommendations, crystal balls on House Bill 6? Anybody? The discipline bill?
It's there.
Okay, I know it's going, while we have a captive audience, House Bill 6 is directly dealing with public school discipline, and it possibly will allow us to write our own ISS and suspension, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be debated on the floor of the Senate on Thursday. So call your senator in support of House Bill 6, because that could really put some teeth into all these grants that you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
So are you proposing that if they do pass it, they be put in school suspension?
It's going to give us back some of the things the legislators took away a couple of sessions ago.
Well, the
Like,
goal,
like possibly sending them to JP court for truancy.
the goal with our program is to no longer have those students. We don't want them in ISS. We want to solve the behavior. And so if we can get behind them and not have that issue, we don't have to worry about ISS.
Well, and a lot of the kids we're talking about aren't necessarily huge discipline issues. They're just wandering the halls
Yeah.
because they don't want to go to class.
What happened to tardy sweeps?
They do them, but they still,
Apparently,
it
it's not very effective.
doesn't, a lot of ours don't care.
You'd be amazed how smart those kids can avoid.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And really it is like, I was talking to our principals, they said we have about 100 kids
Yeah.
on campus that are constant tardy and hallway walkers. So even if you split it up, okay, first 9 weeks, we're gonna focus on these 15, 20, next 9 weeks, we're gonna focus on these 15, 20, and see if the measurable goal works, can we get those kids back in class on track where they need to be? And then we can get those 100 kids down, and then our principals can focus on the bigger discipline issues that we have.
On the high school level, do we have metal detectors?
No.
Oh, God.
Is that allowable?
I don't know. I mean,
some schools do have them, like Crosby High School.
No, this is pertaining to discipline. You know, these kids are bringing stuff onto campus right through the very doors they walk through, you know, so that's why I'm asking these questions.
We do not have metal detectors.
I think part of the problem with metal detectors and on most high school campuses is just that there are typically entry points and multiple, they're expensive. And so you'd have to buy multiple for each campus to catch all of the entries.
High schools?
Talking about entry points.
Yeah, no, entry, like our main building probably has 20.
Well, I mean at the start of the day, like when they come in from the front.
Same. Like, yeah.
I mean, we have at least 4 to 5 that they can enter.
And then you have to have someone there to man it.
Right.
But you know what? If it saves one life, that kid brings a gun and we catch it, you know, before they get in there and somebody gets hurt, hey, I mean, I know it's a lot of money, but it's at this point in time and the way things are these days, you know, look, y'all talking about junior high kids going in the bathroom and smoking and doing drugs and stuff.
We do have vape detectors. The high schools are the ones that have vape detectors. We don't have them in every bathroom, but we do have them.
Right.
And they alerts the office when they
in
catches
that
the
vape.
scent.
I want to commend the board on that robust questioning for this presentation. I do want to share just briefly that the reason this culminated in multiple presentations rather than one, for example, this committee could have come up with the app for everyone, and that's what we would have implemented. But instead, they proposed different strategies to address discipline at different grade levels. So that's why you saw 3 different presentations, very unique and individual. And that's what I want to point out is the teachers are respected by their peers. In between the 10 meetings that we spend 2.5 hours once a month, they go back to the campus and solicit opinions and ideas, and then they come back to our next meeting and we shape and hone what the proposal might look like. At the end of 10 meetings, we're ready to present to the Board of Trustees to let them know what the proposal is for the upcoming school year. And once again, it's just some strategy to improve what we do. This year's focus was student discipline.
I get it. Hey,
but I wanted to
understand
just
what
to
you're saying.
summarize
Yeah.
what the presentation was about and why they were so diverse is because of the different grade levels. Instead of going with one plan for the entire district like we have in the past, the safety and security film that goes over the slots in the doors so that when the teacher flips the light, that was one strategy, and it provided safety and security for every kid across the district. In the classroom, the lights go off and you cannot see into the room. When the lights are on, you can see through it and you can see into the classroom. But when the teacher flips the light and they go into secure mode, it's a safer environment. So every year it's a different item. This
Yeah.
year, teachers said, we've had enough with this discipline. We need to support. Our administrators are doing all they can. We need to come up with a strategy. And I want to commend not only you that are presenting right now, but all the presentations tonight and those of you who came from the Superintendent Campus Connection to support your colleagues tonight. Let's give them a round of applause.
I did have a question, but somebody was real long-winded. But I'll leave it for another time because they're gone now.
All right, thanks, Howard. But I do have a comment about that. You know, it's all great and dandy that we're clapping and, you know, and we support our teachers. Sure, we do. But, you know, we sat through budget after budget after budget because we didn't have no money, and money is tight, right? Thank God the legislature passed, you know, for teacher pay raises this last session. But my thing is, you know, that's a lot of money, $100,000, you know, and that's why I'm bringing this up, because we spend a lot, we've cut from department and department and department, you know, not being able to give some people raises, and then, you know, it's like, you know, the city always came up with one-time expenditure. Oh, we have a one-time expenditure, $2 million. Oh, really? And so when I hear money coming up like this, it makes me think, and it woke me up, and that's why I was asking the questions I was
Very
asking.
worthy, but just as a side note, to be clear, legislature has not passed a finance bill as of yet. So that's still pending. We're
That's
hopeful.
not what I read.
No, it hasn't happened yet. There may be something proposed out of one house or the Senate, but nothing has been voted on as of yet regarding the finance bill.
Okay.
So I just didn't want misinformation to go out.
No. I read it in the paper. I know what to talk about, but it's okay right now. We're good. We're not here for that.
All right. So with that, we will move on to our next presentation, which is our spring athletics update. I see a few coaches in the room, so I think they'll be coming up to join our leaders up here at the front, and or maybe not.
Now here's where we could spend $100,000, get our football program back up with this guy. We're good.
All right. Thank you for having us here tonight. So, good evening to all the board members, Dr. O'Brien. Second time I said that today, so.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. We want to go through this. You know, we have a lot of coaches who are here tonight and obviously put in a lot of hours for their work, but we just want to tell you what's going on with athletics right now.
You'll introduce your colleagues.
To my right, I have Coach Sutterfield. He's representing Coach Finn tonight. He had to attend a funeral today, so he had Coach Sutterfield. And to my left is the new head football coach at Goose Creek Memorial,
All right.
Coach Cleveland. And so I'm just glad to have them here and introduce you guys, and hopefully we have another new football coach here in a little while.
And you're the most popular presenter tonight for the third time.
Oh man, thanks.
Mr. Martinez.
Right. So we'll go ahead and get started here. I can't leave out Greg Smith, who's also, he is in College Station right now with the tennis team, who's competing in the regional tournament. So let's go ahead and get started with the spring celebrations. And we're going to start off with GCM girls soccer, who were by-district champions and area finalists. And you're probably going to hear me say this a couple of times. Awesome. But this is their first year back in 6A. A lot of people didn't even know if they could compete. And they not only won round one, they should have won round two. A bounce or two. You know, soccer's a little bit different than a lot of sports. And then, of course, I want to recognize Coach Weezar and the outstanding job that he does, and he actually recorded his 300th win this year. Go ahead, Coach.
Weezar here?
Yeah, they're all here. They're gonna. Okay. So all the coaches will come up after the presentation. We'll go to the boys soccer team, who was a state semifinalist last year. They were by-district finalists this year. They had a pretty good year. They came out slow out of the box because of injury. We did have the 23 6A Coach of the Year and Coach Freeman. I think that says a lot about his colleagues. For a coach who usually gets Coach of the Year, they usually win their district. For him to get that award with not winning the district says a lot about him. So that's awesome. Sterling girls soccer are by-district champions and area finalists, and in a first-year head coach, and Coach Franks, who's also in the room tonight, will be coming up here shortly. She had an outstanding year and did a wonderful job. I'm gonna tell you guys, we hadn't won a playoff game in a while in soccer, and they got to that second round, and they came up against a tough team. But just to get that confidence back into those girls, and sometimes that's all we need. We need that little push, and I couldn't ask for more from Coach Franks, and she did an outstanding job.
Awesome.
So we're going to Sterling boys soccer. They're by-district finalists. In Coach Heyman, that first round game against Angleton, which they lost in penalty kicks. They came out. That team ended up going to the state semifinals. That they lost to in penalty kicks. So it was a very good game. A lot of people thought in the region that was probably two of the tougher teams in that division going in, and for Sterling to take it to penalty kicks, and probably should have won the match. Says a lot about their program and what they've done. Them making the playoffs for the third year in a row. Couldn't ask for more from Coach Heyman. He's done a great job. So I have the league girls powerlifting. I have Coach Sutterfield here to my right, who is the powerlifting coach. And we had 2 state finalists this year. And Coach, do you want to say something about them really quick?
Yeah, both of these young ladies one's going to A&M this year, the one on the right, and Shayla, the one on the left, right now is number 2 in her class. And these 2 young ladies work their tails off. They represent Robert Lee tremendously. They both got, the one on the left got 7th at state in the state of Texas. The one on the right got 8th in the state of Texas. And you're talking about the little one got 7th and the one on the right got 8th. So they did a tremendous job this year.
All right. And we have Sterling powerlifting with Coach Alanius, who has Asia White. She was also a state finalist, and Coach Alanius had the honors of taking her up there and having her compete, and she did a wonderful job. And what a great job by Coach Alanius as well. Coach Alanius, go ahead.
Coach Lonnie, can I speak on her behalf? Come up here, Coach Lonnie. No, you come up here, Coach Lonnie. Come up here, Coach Lonnie. Come on, Coach Lonnie.
It's powerlifting.
No, what's really special about that girl, and I tell Coach Lonnie this every year, she's a special needs girl. So without powerlifting, she probably wouldn't compete in anything. And not only is she special needs, but she went to state in powerlifting. Coach Lonnie.
So Radley Dazan is the Sterling Boys Golf Regional Finalist. I don't know if they're able to compete this week because of the state, but I know he competed well in a very, very tough group. I don't know if you guys stay up with golf as much, but man, this is if not the toughest region in the state. It is. There's some really good teams, and for this young man to end up in the middle of the pack, that's a good pull for him, and I'm very proud of him and Coach Holbrook for the job that Coach Holbrook does year in and year out. We have Sterling Swim. I really can't see those names. My eyes are, I guess, failing me. But Coach Clem Guttrell always does a great job in the region. We had a lot of those individuals right there, as you can see, all made the regional tournament and the regional swim meet. And for us to have that amount of kids in the program and to advance says a lot about what Coach Guttrell does with his kids. And I know we're going to continue to do a great job year in and year out, starting with water polo. As you guys know, they were in the playoffs again, and now we have a group of individuals that are in the regional swim meet. So Clem Guttrell, Sterling High School coach, does a great job. Sterling girls track, we had a regional finalist. She's coached by Coach Jalen Batiste. Emily Otel She runs the 1600. If you ever get an opportunity, please go to that regional meet. I think you'll see a lot of great runners there. She really competed very hard, and we're hoping next time we can get somebody to keep advancing. But what a good, she had a good showing for Sterling High School there. And we had GCM boys track, the regional finalists, coached by Coach Taplin, Coach Tap for short. We had a 4x2 team that was amazing. Nathaniel McGilbray, Joshua Gonzalez, John Gonzalez, and Joshua Babin. Also, I believe Babin competes in the long jump. All of these individuals made the regional track meet, but that was a great race they had that day. Came up a little bit short, but definitely not saying anything about the effort. The effort was there, and it was definitely a good showing for Goose Creek at the regional 6A regional meet. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What made it difficult this year was because for some reason a lot of school districts had their spring break at different times. So a lot of the teams that we had were on spring break and we're not coming. So that's something that we're going to have to look at next year, because we don't want to lose teams like we did this year. So we're definitely going to have to correct that. The regional, we have Sterling Tennis, who, as mentioned earlier, is at the regional meet as we speak in College Station. They're coached by Coach Spaniel, Raul Torres. I could read these: Natalie De La Cruz, Kaylin Orozco, Maddie Dotson. Maybe I can't. Jedediah Chapa and Kennedy Medina. Coach Spaniel was actually in his first year. He replaced, obviously, a very good coach in Coach Trimmel. So for him to get him to this point, I think it's a good start for him and his career. And I think he's done a great job. And I think these individuals are just going to keep getting better if we continue to work. So thank you. We had Sterling Softball was the by-district finalist. Coach Warner, who's been at Sterling for a while, has done an outstanding job. And she's one of the most even-keeled coaches I've ever met. She never changes. It's kind of funny around that sometimes, but you know what she does is very effective. And their girls made the playoffs this year. And you know, to say they're the by-district finalists, but they competed very well throughout the year. A lot of games, I was able to catch some games this year, very competitive in some games in a very tough district. So we have GCM baseball coached by Coach Banda. Again, another school in 6A that was not sure they were going to compete in this district with the teams that they had. They ended up, sweeping a North Shore, sweeping a Channelview. They won some big games. They took a Atascocita to the 7th and took Kingwood to the 7th, and kind of let that go. The exciting thing is there are a bunch of sophomores and juniors coming back. There's 2 good arms on the mound that are coming back next year. So we're looking forward for GCM to be back in the playoffs and hopefully get some wins once they get in there. But Coach Banda did an outstanding job for the first year being back in 6A. Sterling also, we were fortunate to have 2 out of 3 teams make the playoffs, which is always a good thing. Sterling baseball were by-district finalists, and I tell you what, it was a very exciting series this past weekend. They lost game 1 at LaPorte, and they had to come back and win game 2 after being out at their field for a couple of hours and then having to go home, wake up the next day, get back on a bus, get back out to Deer Park, and their coaches and their players did an outstanding job competing. They won game 2, slow start in game 3. The guys woke up a little bit, kind of fought there at the end. But again, that's another group that's young that a lot of players are returning. So we're looking for these guys to be back in there. And what a great job for Coach Dustin Greer and what he did for Sterling baseball this year. Obviously, and most importantly, we have a lot of. Before I say this, I got to say something really fast. Sterling Track, also with Coach Kelly Walker, who's been sitting here as well patiently. I don't want to leave him out. He's part of that track team that does an outstanding job, and I didn't get to mention his name, so I wanted you guys to hear that name and become familiar with that. But going to this is obviously the most important thing that we do when we work with our coaches. We emphasize core course GPA in athletics because that's obviously the most important thing. We have our own program that we utilize throughout the entire district for all the high schools. Every team, every coach has access to it. This year we dropped in our numbers, but it's still a number, and we ended up with 28 total athletic scholarships this year. And even if it was one, it's still one person that get one. And I'll tell you what, I'll take this every year because ultimately, in the end, this is what we're shooting for. This is what we're gunning for. We want to change lives, and we want to use our respected sports to do that. So that's our update for right now. If you have any questions for us, just let us know. So at this point, I'd like to have all the coaches come up.
That's what I was going to ask you, if you wouldn't mind bringing them up front and let us express our gratitude for the hard work they put in, the long hours they put in that are often gone unnoticed. We certainly do appreciate the hard work that they put into shaping these young men and young women athletes. Thank you, guys. Wait a second. What are y'all doing? The board wasn't through asking questions to the last group.
Well, I do have some questions. I think I'm gonna talk to the athletic director. We need a line item for sports, right? 200.
Lord. Okay, our next presentation for the superintendent's reports is GCC ISD 22-23 Accountability Ratings and Distinctions. Ms. Jackson, will you introduce your team?
Yes. This is James Hespin, our Director of Assessment and Accountability. In fact, I'm very loud over here. And this is none other than Kevin Foxworth, our Area Executive Director, representing our secondary schools. Dr. Sandy Conklin, representing our elementary. Everybody knows Karen. She's been here forever. It's like the coffee building. It's going to be the PD Karen. And then we have Brittany, who's up here representing our Assessment and Accountability Department. So one of the main things we wanted to start off with is you ask a lot about the ratings around us. Now we're talking about ratings from 22-23. So you knew what the scores were. This is the official rating, so this is not really new information. The schools are just around us in Region 4 that got an A or above on the screen. Here's the schools that got a B. We were grateful and thankful and happy that we are in that group with a B. And here's the groups that we wanted to share with you that got a C. And then we just left the others below because we wouldn't want to do that. Then I'm going to switch it over to Mr. Hespin. I just gave you doctor title.
It's premonition. So in your packet, you guys have the 22-23 individual schools and their scores, but we wanted to kind of show you the overall ratings. So as a district, we were, as Ms. Jackson said, we were a B. The high schools on average, they were a B as well. It was an 83. Junior highs on average were a C, which was at an average of a 76, and then the elementaries on average were a C also, which was a 72. Before I go on to the next slide, I want to just kind of recap a little bit about the 22-23 accountability. That was when TA decided to do their 5-year refresh, and there were a lot of changes that were done during that year. They raised the CCMR cut points by 28 points to get an A. It was a star 2.0, which means there were a lot of open-ended responses. There was AI scoring. There were a lot of ECRs, which is extended constructive response, so a lot more writing on the test. And the main thing was, though, and the reason that it was in litigation is because the 22-23 accountability manual did not come out until after testing had already been completed. And so it's basically like playing the game, and them changing the rules on us, and the game's already over. And that was for all the schools, though. That was for everybody. Okay. That was for everybody. So what we did on the next slide, what you'll see, and in your packet, you see that we wanted to list the ratings. Because GCCIZ was playing the rules by what we knew at the time. We were playing the game by the rules that we knew, and the ratings that would have been received if the 22-23 refresh had not happened, if we had been rated the same way. So on the next slide, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Griffith, and she's going to share that information.
So no school would have received a rating lower than a C. Again, this is applying the 22 methodology. 8 schools would have increased by 1 letter grade. 5 schools would have increased by 2 letter grades. 2 schools would have increased by 3 letter grades. 13 schools would have received the same letter grade, and only 1 school would have decreased by a letter grade.
So as part of the accountability system, campuses can earn distinctions. They earn a distinction based off how they perform within their 40 comparison group. They have to be in the top quartile, which is the top 25% of that group. Comparison group is made up of schools that are similar to them, so it could be similar numbers in economically disadvantaged, emergent bilingual, special education, all those things, and so they're grouped in a group of 40 schools. So out of 28 eligible campuses, 61% of our campuses received at least 1 distinction. Elementary schools they're eligible for 6 distinctions. Secondary schools are eligible for 7. Elementary, 7 of 16, 44% earned at least 1 campus distinction. In junior high, 5 out of 6, 83% earned at least 1, and in high school, 5 out of 6 eligible campuses earned at least 1 campus distinction, 83%.
What was our rating in 21, 22 before this?
It was a D.
It was an 89. It was an 89, right? 89.
All right. So for our schools receiving distinctions, we had 6 receive academic achievement in reading language arts. 9 received academic achievement in math. We had 6 who received academic achievement in science, 2 in social studies, and only our junior high and high schools are eligible for social studies, so our elementaries are not. 6 campuses were in the top 25% in academic growth, 3 in top 25% in closing the gaps, and then we had 13 schools who received distinctions for post-secondary readiness.
Okay, receiving these distinctions is a big deal. There's a lot of competition among the principals. I can tell you back in the day when Susan and I were principals, I knew how many GCM had, she knew how many Sterling had. So it's a lot of competition. So I say that to say we want to honor those campuses that are receiving distinctions. So I want to call them out by name. So receiving 1 distinction is Clark Elementary, Walker, Gentry, and Impact. Receiving 2 distinctions by the state are Lamar, Cedar Bayou, Horace Mann, and Stewart Career Tech. Receiving 3 distinctions from the state are Crockett, Alamo, E.F. Green, and Highlands Junior. Receiving 4 distinctions from the state are San Jacinto Elementary, Sterling High School, and Goose Creek Memorial. And then receiving 5 distinctions are Pumphrey Elementary and Lee High School.
So those are the 22-23. We are still waiting upon 23-24. It's still tied up in and litigation, but you do have those campus scores.
So
Any
what
questions?
were the high school ratings? Like, I know Sterling, I read that Sterling got an A.
Are you talking about for currently for this year?
For 23.
23?
Yeah.
It's in that packet you
Yeah,
got
yeah.
with all the individual schools listed.
Well, I wanted to discuss it, that's why.
Sterling was an A. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I know. What were the other two high schools?
All Bs.
B's, but, okay.
All the high schools did extremely well,
Oh, good.
extremely well.
So it was just junior high and elementary?
Keep in mind that they use CCMR, and we do such a great job as a district of making sure our students graduate college or career ready, and they get points for that. So that is why that score went down, and that is also a change. The district used to be graded as a district whole on our CCMR, and they took that away and gave it a proportional. So that's one of the changes that we've had to go through.
So we were outperforming the state in college and career military readiness by double digits.
Okay.
Is how well we were doing, and that was helping carry high school.
And we still are.
We still are.
Double digits.
Any other questions for any of us?
Will the Blue Bonnet curriculum help at all?
We sure hope so. That's why we went down that road.
Right. I get it. I'm just, like I said, I'm bringing this up because I remember we were involved in a lawsuit to keep these from coming out, the ratings from coming out. And, people have a misconception out there that, well, Goose Creek didn't want them to come out because the ratings were so far, but they're not. I mean, it's a B. It's not where we want to be, but, and there's always room for improvement. But the reason I bring that up is because I want to clear any,
correct
misconceptions about our students are doing well.
I think that's fair. We, as a school district, we accept our scores, however they come out. And we want our parents, we want to have transparency. We want our parents to know how we're doing. The challenge of half the districts in the state was because it had nothing to do with the scores. It had to do with the fairness of how they were calculated. Mr. Husband reported that the test went out, the test came back in, ready to be scored, and then the accountability manual came out to show you how to score them. And in particular, that's the year we went from an 89 to an 80. So we dropped 10 points because they changed how they did it. That was the reason for the pause, was because it was the fairness, nothing to do with scores, had to do with how they tabulated the scores. So the current hold on the next round is similar, except instead of changing the way the cut lines were and the tabulation of the scores, had to do with how they were graded, which is through artificial intelligence. Whereas before, every year prior, human beings scored the written portion of the exam, whether it's the short answer or the full essay, and the human beings would be able to determine whether it was a 4, a 3, a 2, or a 1 rated writing sample, whereas the automated generation gave many, many zeros, much more than the state had ever experienced. So it was a statewide concern, statewide issue to your point. But even the year that we got to 89, our highest score, our academic performance was a 92, and we received a 3-point deduction because of one low-performing campus. So that dropped us to an 89. So it's about fairness is the only thing that most of the superintendents that I know and the school districts that I know has been about. Just be fair, tell us how it's going to be scored in advance, and we'll live up to that measure.
And that's a good point of clarification for these people that are wondering or, judging, I guess, in a negative way. But, just, and the point I mentioned earlier, the other schools were under the same, rating, and they did good, I said, yeah, but, I mean, like Barbers Hill, let's take Barbers Hill. It's smaller. They made an A, but, they're a smaller school. We got a larger school district to deal with. So there's some points of clarification that people need to understand.
That's why I put that slide up there so you could see there's only 3 school districts around us that scored an A, which is outdoing us. We actually are on the upper end of that because there's as many C's and below that we didn't even bring up.
Right, okay,
Thank y'all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation.
Yeah.
You can leave unless you want to stay for the budget update. Bridget, I checked to see if there was any takers if they want to present, but I think you're it. Tag. Ms. Clark, welcome back to the presentation on the budget update. Welcome, Dr. Bollinger, as well.
Yes, thank you. Just when you're feeling rested and energized, it's time for the budget. So I did not put it in that order, so I apologize. But we will talk about the legislative update because there's been quite a bit of activity and then some activity that we would like to move along that's a little on hold at the moment. We'll go over the reduction review, some TASB compensation, food service and debt service budgets we'll go over briefly, and then calendar and next steps. So we're in the midst of this session and it's getting down to the wire here with deadlines incoming. The first of which is going to be on May 12th, the last day for House Committee to report House bills and House joint resolutions. You see most of these through May 24th pertain to the House. The Senate has a little more leeway as far as deadlines are concerned. The Senate has a deadline, though, on May 28th, and then you see on June 2nd is sine die. So we are getting into the thick of it now. The news du jour, of course, is the passing of the voucher bill, which is Senate Bill 2. It got passed largely along the party lines, which is no surprise. The only Republicans that voted against it were Van Dever and Phelan. It's now been signed by the governor. He had a ceremony to sign it on Saturday, so with much fanfare, and he got that passed. So that's been a major initiative of his for several sessions now, and he has gotten that passed. EveryTexan.org does estimate Goose Creek will lose approximately around $2 million. Once it's fully implemented, students will begin accessing accounts in the 26-27 school year. So the governor has gotten that emergency item passed. It is now law of the land. The bill that we're very concerned about and watching very closely is House Bill 2, which is the school finance bill. It has been stalled in the House since the 17th of April. We have heard that there is some concern from the Senate on its price tag. So there is a delta between the House bill set aside for public ed versus the Senate set aside for public ed, like 1.5 upwards of maybe close to $2 million or $2 billion differential on that. So we do know that the Senate has the bill and there will be changes to it. You can pretty much bet on that. So right now we're just waiting to see what those changes might be, but we are very hopeful on this bill.
While you're on that, Ms.
Yes,
Clark, this is what Mr. Renteria had asked about. The difference is the House version had about $7 billion and the Senate version had about $5 billion allocated for the school finance bill. And so the rule of thought would be that they could split somewhere down the middle, but that's why it stalled in addition to pending constitutional amendments. You're going to talk about them.
Yes, I will. Yes, sir. And just as you mentioned that, I'll go ahead and comment on that. One of the concerns is another agenda item that Governor Abbott had on his priorities list was property tax relief. And the Democrats, because the voucher bill did pass, they have made some statements to the effect that they could not vote for constitutional amendments, which would mean the tax bill reduction does not get passed. And so that creates some concern on vetoes and the like if House Bill 2 were to pass and then it gets to the governor's desk and he vetoes it, or something to that effect, some kind of back and forth with attempts to kill other bills, as it were. So sometimes we get in sessions where there are defensive sessions like that, where not a lot gets passed and a lot of bills get killed because, one bill gets killed and someone gets offended, and then, politics takes control, and then, lots of bills don't pass. So, but anyway, we are hopeful that something will pass. We just don't know exactly what, and we do expect changes in the Senate. So. All right, this, as you see here in red, this is House Bill 2. This is the only vehicle for increased school funding this session. This has strong support from ISDs and within the House, and hopefully they'll be in a good position when negotiating with the Senate. But if this bill doesn't pass, we don't get additional funding. So I just want everybody to understand that this is the vehicle, and it is stalled right now in the House, or it's moved out of the House, it's stalled in the Senate committee. Yes, sir.
This one right here hasn't passed yet, but the voucher bill.
Just the voucher bill, yes, sir.
So why would the Democrats not vote for this one?
No, they support this one,
Oh, okay.
but the constitutional amendment for property tax relief requires some Democrats to vote for it.
I got you.
And if they don't, it could die. The property tax relief bill could die if that happens.
I got you.
And because the vouchers passed in its form that it's currently in, they were not happy with that. So
yeah,
that's kind of where.
Yeah, that's what I was. The Democrats usually support public education, which is good. I mean, I'm just saying.
Right. They do support this bill. Now. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. The voucher bill's passed now, so the leverage is kind of gone now because you can't pass bills at the same time. There has to be one on the calendar before the next. So
But we're not losing money as a school district because of the voucher program, are we? Because Terry Leo Wilson, she's going around, educating everybody, but that voucher money doesn't come from public education money. And
well, it will indirectly because we could lose enrollment. Yeah, it's possible.
I know what you're smiling over here. I get it. I got eyes on the side of my head.
Yeah. Yes.
I wish you smiled like that when I brought up that line item budget you have over there. That would have made me laugh too.
All right, so Omar Garcia, everyone knows the legend that is Omar Garcia. He came out with a new template about a week and a half ago, and his template is the gold standard. And whenever we put our data in there, it looks like based on House Bill 2 in its current form, we would get about $13 million increase in funding year over year. It would increase the basic allotment from 6160 to 6555. And like I said, it's stalled after passing the House on April 17th. So we do expect that to change. I wouldn't be surprised if the basic allotment got changed by the Senate because they are having that heartburn over the price tag for House Bill 2. If that $13 million were to come to fruition and no changes were made to House Bill 2, the minimum 40% must be spent on compensation, which would equate to about $5.2 million.
Yes, I get it.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the minimum 75% of the 40% must be spent specifically on teachers, nurses, and librarians, which would equate to about $3.9 million. And a minimum of 25% of the 40% must be spent on non-administrative compensation. So that would be everyone else, all of our manual trades, bus drivers, auxiliary, and everything. So just so you can see what that looks like there.
3 different line items right there.
Yeah, yes, sir. Okay, so this scenario here is going to illustrate what it looks like for 25-26 only. This first column for 25-26 is current law, and that is if House Bill 2 does not pass, it gets thrown out in its entirety, dies in the Senate, whatever, vetoes by the governor, all these things that could possibly happen. You see there, we could still give a 2% raise. It would cost about $4.2 million, and we would have a slight deficit of $2.482 million, which we talked about in our budget workshop, and then approved the budget reduction plan. Now, scenario C here, which is the second column, illustrates House Bill 2 passing. And that you would see the pay increase there on line 4 of that 6.7 million that we just talked about. And then that would give us, before legislation, before House Bill 2 funding flows in, that would be about a $4.9 million, almost $5 million revenue under expenditures. And then you see the legislation from House Bill 2 coming in at $13 million on line 7. That puts us in a good position, right? It gives us $8 million in the black you see there on line 8. It buoys our fund balance back to almost $100 million. If you look at line 10, it's $97 million. So it would be very helpful and will be quite above the 3 months required fund balance of almost $68 million. So that's for 25, 26 only. These next 3 slides are going to discuss 25, 26 versus 26, 27, just so you can see how things can shift. All right, so again, this illustration in both scenarios, 25, 26 and 26, 27, shows if House Bill 2 dies, some sort of sad death. 25, 26 still shows the $2.48 million deficit, but look what happens in scenario 1 in that green column for 26, 27. If we wanted to give a 2% raise, which is line 5 there, that would be another $4.2 million cost, and then a transfer in from capital improvement projects would only be about $4 million because of the decrease in revenues coming in that fund. So we would have a $16.2 million deficit that we would be grappling with for next year's budget. And you see it also puts us dangerously close on line 11 to our fund balance, a 3-month required reserve for fund balance, because we're going to have on line 10, you see an estimated fund balance of $70.2 million, and our requirement is $68.3. So that gets us very close, doesn't it? If House Bill 2 does not pass.
Well, I think it's also worth noting that fund balance required, a 3-month, that is a fluid number that increases with inflation as well.
That increases with increased
number.
cost. Yes,
Right.
It changes with every, whatever your expenditures are, it's 3 months worth of those expenditures. So every time your expenditures increase, your fund balance requirement is going to increase as well.
That number is not static.
That is correct. Yeah, and it'll change on these examples too. All right, so again, scenario, this is 25, 26 versus 26, 27. Now this is if House Bill 2 passes early in the year. It's not a problem because we know before we adopt our budget and our compensation plan that this House bill has been signed into law. Let's say if the governor signs it before June 2nd. We're in great shape. We're going to have an $8 million surplus. You see there on line, I can't see the line number. I apologize. I thought I fixed that, but it went back. But you see there the surplus is $8 million. And then what happens next year, even with that influx of House Bill 2 money? In 26, 27, we're still going to be grappling with a deficit if we want to give a 2% raise. If we don't want to give a 2% raise, it would obviously go down, to like 1.5.
Cushion.
Right. We would still have a nice cushion there,
Yeah.
but eventually we will have to balance our operating budget. I mean,
Yeah, I get
eventually the
Which will
chickens
put
are
us
gonna,
back down to 92. We're still good.
right. We'll still be pretty good, right? Let's see here. Okay, so now this is the one that gets a little a little sticky here. If House Bill 2 passes, but after June 2nd, right? It's because we have to adopt our budget by June 16th. I mean, unless we wanted to have a special meeting to push it out, but your latest is June 30th, right? But we have to post legally 10 days before the budget is adopted, right? So we don't have that kind of time if it gets passed in a special session or the governor doesn't sign it until
He
July.
gonna sign it.
Or, well, I hope you're right, sir.
He gonna sign it.
But
Well, I just think, the economy, and inflation is going to come down, and things are starting to change for the better. And that's where my hope is, that, you know, things start turning and we're good. And they leave public education alone, like in the words of one of my co-trustees, Richard Clem, says that leave public education alone, you know, so.
Yeah, we definitely agree. But nonetheless, you see here, even with that influx from House Bill 2, you see in that green column, when we start getting ready for next year's budget and we're preparing, if we want to give a 2% raise, we're going to start off with almost a $6 million deficit, even with that influx, because, you know, it comes in and it's permanent, but so are the raises. So our expenses, unless we, you know, reduce expenses, we're going to have to grapple with this again. So I just want everybody to understand that there are wide swings that can happen here and a lot of unknowns at this point. We don't know anything for sure, so these are all just illustrations, but just to educate you all and give you the best information possible for making your decisions. So does anyone have any questions on any of these scenarios so far? Did I explain that well? Does it make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, I will give you a brief overview of the debt service fund. These next two funds are in great shape. We don't have deficit issues. We have very healthy fund balances. You see here in the bordered column there, the proposed budget is, you know, pretty substantial. We're going to have a surplus, and then we're still going to have reserves for 1-year debt service payments, which puts us in a very stable position to make our bond payments. Same situation, if you look at the bordered food service budget, we're still going to have, we have a spend plan that we're required to have on this one, and that's why you see a revenue under expenditures number of $8 million, because we're required to spend down this fund balance. And we've been trying since COVID. We've had lots of issues, as we all know, with supply and all those things, but we think we're getting a handle on it finally. Last few years, we've actually added to the fund balance, so now we're finally able to spend some of that down, but we still have a very healthy fund balance at $9.5 million, even after the spend down of $8 million next year. All right, so next steps. So
if we don't spend it, what happens to that money?
We don't want to know because we need to spend it. No, we do have to spend that. We have to adhere to our spending
Do we
plans.
lose it?
I don't know that we would lose it, but they would definitely step in probably and start giving us some directives.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, they would start giving us directives without autonomy or
Right.
you know, local
you.
control. So
Yeah.
we want to make sure we're adhering to our plans here. So just to recap, the next steps, if we adopt a compensation plan before House Bill 2's passed, which TASB has given us the advice recommendation to hold, you know, as long as we can, because I haven't seen a provision, but there could be one if, you know, we were to pass a compensation plan early and then they pass this bill saying you have to give 40% of the year-over-year increase based on House Bill 2, we could have ourselves in a position where we'd have to pay a 5.5% increase on compensation. That could happen. Even if the bill passes late in the summer in a special session, we still have to comply with the law by September 1st. The law is effective, so we have to comply with it by then. And if House Bill 2 does not officially become law prior to 5/6, it obviously has not. Today's 5/6. The recommendation is to move compensation plan approval to 6/2.
What's the deadline date for that? June to what?
June 2nd is sine die. So that's the last day of the session.
Right.
So that we just so happen to have a board meeting on that day. And so we're hoping between now and then that it gets passed. But if it does not, we would want to push it, you know, as late as we possibly could, which on our current schedule.
How late can we push our budget?
Well, we could push it to the 30th, but
Okay.
our board meeting right now is scheduled for 6/16. So we hope we have something by then,
Right.
since sine die is 6/2.
Right.
So
the hope is that by 6/2, they're not using the word special session.
Right.
If you hear special session a lot as we get closer
We're
to
in trouble.
sine die, that means it could be pushed beyond sine die.
that is correct.
I was just curious what our,
Yeah,
limitation was.
that's our drop dead timeline, June 30th.
Yeah.
Yes. So it can get very messy. If they do it after the fact, we could have to come back and make an amendment and then, make retro payments, and paychecks would be very messy and all that kind of stuff. So we're hopeful that it gets passed before then, but if not, we'll work with it, but it'll be a lot more confusing process for everybody. All right, so as I just mentioned, we are on the home stretch now. So is the legislature. We're going to try to bring the compensation plan for approval on the 2nd. But again, if the House Bill 2 has not passed, we may have to punt until the 16th and be hopeful that we can pass it then. But that would be our total budget adoption on June 16th.
But we can have a special session.
We could have a special meeting if we wanted to after that.
We'd have
yes.
to if we're going to do it. Right?
Yeah, we certainly could.
And they don't pass it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. All right. So I will turn it over to Dr. Bollinger now.
Okay. So at our last board meeting, we went in depth with the compensation plan. So we proposed several packages. So just like Ms. Clark shared, originally we were going to have the compensation plan for approval today, but due to legislation that's been delayed, and she explained why. So most districts have not come out with what their raise is going to be for next year for that reason. TASB's given the recommendation to hold until we have more information before we put something up for a recommendation. So what I want to do is just real quick go through the summary slides of what we proposed last time, and then just show how that applies to the new formula that was run based off the finance bill that's constantly changing. So, and if you have any questions, I can go back through the details, but for the sake of time, I'll do a summary piece. So a 2% increase, as what was mentioned by Ms. Clark earlier, across the board would be around $4.1 million. And at that point, we presented just a 2% increase, but then whenever the finance bill had some spend requirements for compensation, then we had to provide additional raise options. And so a 3% increase across the board is just north of $6 million. A 4% raise, and again, the reason why we presented a 4% raise and a 4.5% raise last time was because of that spend requirement for teachers, nurses, and librarians. So that's going to come into effect here in a minute. A 4% raise is $7.9 million, and then out of that, $4.45 million would be the cost for the teachers, nurses, and librarians. And so there was a spend requirement again based off the money that we will receive if that finance bill passes. And then the last model we showed, so we showed a 2%, a 3%, a 4%, and a 4.5%. 4.5% at the time hit that spend requirement for teachers, nurses, and librarians at 4.9, and total it would be 8.8 million. So so it's a lot of numbers and a lot of moving targets. So to simplify it, on this one pager, when we presented in April, the estimated increase would be $16 million. And then as you've seen, that whenever they reran, Omar Garcia reran his formula, it dropped to 13 million. And so that's going to come into play here on what we're required to spend for compensation. And so a 2% across the board is 4.1, a 3% across the board would cost the district $6 million, a 4% would cost the district $7.9 million, and then a 4.5% would cost the district $8.8 million. So with that spend requirement on that formula, we're required to spend $3.9 million on compensation for teachers, nurses, and librarians, and then we're also required to spend a certain percentage or a certain dollar amount for other staff, not including administrators. And so this would be one example of, we could do a 3.5% raise, which would be somewhere in between 3 and 4%, probably about $7 million if the board opted to do that. Or you could break it up where if the finance bill passes as is, then one option for the board is also to do a 3.5% raise for everyone but administrators. And that dollar amount's broken out here. For teachers, nurses, and librarians, it's $3.9 million. For paraprofessionals, for manual trades, that other employee groups, it would be $1.7 million, which is a little bit higher than that spend requirement in the finance bill. And then for administrators at 3%, it would be $1.1 million, around that area. And so the total would be $6.7 million. So again, just to make sure I've driven home the message, if the finance bill passes as is, then there's a certain requirement that we would need to allocate 75% of that 40% that we receive for teachers, nurses, and librarians towards compensation. And so that equates to about 3.5% raise. And then what you do with everyone else, we would give options for that, okay? I have 2 more slides, and so I wanted to show those real quick. So there's pros and cons if we did differentiate the raises. So again, the board could just say, hey, we want to do a 3.5% for everyone, or they may want to separate out administrators and make that lower. So there's pros and cons for doing that if you differentiate and separate out administrators. First of all, it allows us to stay compliant with legislation. So if there's a spend requirement, we hit that spend requirement. We're able to recruit and retain teachers in high need areas, especially with that raise above 2%. Of course, it improves morale for those receiving that 3.5% raise. And also it supports budgetary concerns. And so it saves us a little over $1 million by separating out that 5%, 3.5% versus 3% for administrators. So there's a savings there for doing that. Of course, on the downside, there may be perceived inequity where some people get 3.5% and some get 3%. So we would navigate that. Also making sure we're communicating who gets the 3.5% raise and who doesn't, who would get the 3% raise, so we would communicate that. And then down the road, there could be a concern for pay compression, where for certain jobs, if teachers start to get paid at a 3.5% and then the position right above teachers gets a 3%, there could be a shift where teachers could pass up certain positions, such as our entry-level administrators or elementary counselors, so to speak. And so if that happens, then TASB would actually make recommended equity adjustments, and that would be additional cost to us. And so just to keep a healthy spread between different positions of promotion to make sure that certain positions aren't above other positions. So those are the pros and cons if we do differentiate it. Right now, again, like Ms. Clark said, we're in a holding pattern, and once that finance bill passes or doesn't pass, then we'll know what direction we'll recommend to the board. Okay.
Questions by the board?
Does House Bill 2 still currently have a automatic increase on the second year of the biennium?
There is no.
To the allotment?
No.
Did that fall off? That was part of it at one point, was it not?
I'll look at that again, but I know that the runs that I've seen did not have an increase.
Inflationary increase.
Yeah, inflationary increase, yeah. So, unfortunately, no. We wish they would, but.
But Mr. Renfree is going to call the governor and try to get things squared away for us.
Please do.
Somebody needs to call it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good presentation, thank you.
That's right.
Okay, Dr. O'Brien.
All right, next up, we have our action items, including the consent agenda items, 13A. I'll go ahead and run down
Would you run through the list, please?
Yes, ma'am,
Okay.
Madam President. Number 1, donation from Lockwood Andrews Noonan for sponsoring GiantCon. Donation. Number 2, donation from Goose Creek CISD Education Foundation. 3, resolution extending the depository contract for funds for Goose Creek CISD. Number 4, municipal advisory services contract with Huntington Securities Incorporated. Number 5, the dissolution of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee, CBOC, for the Series 2019 bond. Delegate the expenditure of any remaining bond funds to the superintendent pursuant to the election approving the bonds. Number 6, interlocal contract with Houston Independent School District for School Health and Related Services, SHARS program. Number 7, memorandum of understanding, or the MOU, with Harris County Department of Education for High Point School East. Number 8, award the RFP 25.007, fencing materials installation related services. Number 9, award for RFP number 25.001, general maintenance, repair, and inspection services. Number 10, award RFP 25.001, turnkey solution for graduation production, sound, visuals, and staging. Number 11, authorization to solicit sealed bids for the purchase of surplus property. Number 12, superintendent's expenditures. Administration brings before the board these consent agenda items, recommending approval for all of them.
Okay, before we move forward, are there any items that any board members would like to pull for discussion or separation of consideration?
Yeah, number 5.
Number 5,
I'd like to pull number 11 for separate consideration.
which one?
11.
Number 11. Anyone else?
A question, if that maybe could be answered so that we can keep it in.
Yes, ma'am.
For, what number was that? 10, for the graduation sound, visuals, and all of that. So with the new scoreboard and stuff, we're not able to do our own
Not yet.
AV?
Not yet. Next year.
Okay.
That's our goal.
Okay.
Ms. Garcia, did you have any follow-up comments on that? Ms. Jackson? Right. This year, though, we will not be able to use the scoreboard and the sound AV equipment for it, right? That's the purpose for the rental. Okay.
As long as it's in the plan.
It is in the
moving
plan.
forward.
It is in
Okay.
the plan. We're even moving goalposts. Right, Mr. Martinez?
Okay. Well, do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda excluding items number 5 and number 11?
I have a motion. I'll make a motion to approve
Okay,
consent agenda items 1 through 4, 6 through 10, and number 12.
thank you.
Second.
It's been motion and second by Ms. Guy and second by Mr. Clem.
You got to vote.
Okay. Okay, well, we have to wait till we have a discussion, discussion of 5 and 11.
Well,
Go ahead and call for the vote.
Oh, call for the, okay. All in favor, raise your hand, show your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, it's unanimous, it's approved.
I'm sorry, I jumped ahead of you, Ms. Barat-Timms. My apologies. I saw number 5, and I knew that Ms. Garcia
Yeah, I know,
could
you.
speak
I was
to-
getting confused, so that's why, but we can move forward now. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Garcia, you could explain why the CBOC is being dissolved?
Well, we've very successfully completed all of our bond work from the 2019 bond. And at this time, there are not any follow-ups for the committee. They are recommending that we return any remaining bond funds to the board or designee to use per your purview.
Generally speaking, those are for capital improvement projects, correct?
Yes, sir. We did finish under budget as well, so with 2019 bond.
Under budget, and there was also interest earnings, as I understand?
Yeah, as a result of interest earnings, but still under budget nonetheless by over $3 million, right?
3.4 million.
3.4
That's
million.
what I was getting ready to ask, how much?
Yes, sir.
What was the recommendation of the CBOC for the funds?
It was for the board to use for much needed capital improvement. We do have a couple of CBOC members here present if you have any questions for them.
Okay.
The chairman, Mr. Thies, is here, and Mr. Bryan?
Yeah, but you would know that.
Yes, sir.
The recommendation was to
return the
money
funds
to the board.
to the board for
Okay,
capital
so
improvement
here's my
projects.
question.
Yes, sir.
Why does it say here that the expenditure of any remaining bond funds to the superintendent?
That is a discrepancy on the caption versus the actual motion or the actual item.
If you look at the board agenda item summary, it does say to the board of trustees or designee.
So there was a discrepancy there.
So before we vote on it, we need to change that to be back to the board versus to the superintendent, because that was a recommendation.
Yes, sir. The caption did not get
That's correct.
updated, unfortunately. Yes, sir.
Okay.
With the revision.
Right.
So a question about the actual funds. Are those funds remaining actual bond funds, or are those funds from interest earned on monies? And does that make a difference?
Well, we did finish all of the projects that were on the ballot And because there is excess funds available due to interest earnings, yes, it was earned on bond funds, but those projects are completed now, and we do have $3.4 million left, and it is possible for the board at their discretion to make that determination as to how they want to spend those funds.
So that's interest earned?
Correct.
Okay.
That's
so
it.
My point being is we have fulfilled our obligation to the taxpayers based upon the bond in 2019, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think the discrepancy is simply that any capital improvement projects would come to the board for approval. That's the missing element.
Right, but I'm not reading, that is what I'm reading verbatim is that the money's, any remaining funds to the superintendent. I mean, I know it might be a technical thing, but I think that, it should read, any remaining funds should be.
The board or designee.
Right.
Correct.
It would
Or the
read
board-
exactly as your agenda item
the board
summary
itself.
states. This is the correct phrase, is
I got
what's on your summary sheet.
Yeah, the actual item.
I just want to make sure this clarification is that, it's not, and nothing personal with Randy, but it's nothing, the money, the recommendation that the committee made was to return the money to the board and whatever
That's
we
correct.
decide.
That's
yes,
correct.
that is
Right.
correct, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So.
And that's what we're doing.
Madam President, you would ask for an amendment to the motion?
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the item number 13A5 as an amendment to the original motion?
I move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
Mr. Martinez made the motion,
Okay.
second by Mr. Renteria. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstain? Unanimous, no Amy. Okay.
And we have number 11,
Number 11.
authorization to solicit sealed bids for the purchase of surplus property.
Yeah.
What's the question?
Well, let's start on what is it?
Yeah.
And then I'll form my questions based upon that.
On what the property is? What, is that the question?
What are we voting on tonight?
So this would be to solicit bids. This is not approving the actual sale. This is just putting this out for bids so that we can receive prospective bidders' amounts for the 1.76 acre tract on the west side of Highlands Elementary at the corner of Main and College Street.
Right. Okay. So with that being said, I've been adamantly against this because that property is adjacent to Highlands Elementary. There is a huge traffic flow problem over there at the beginning of classes drop off and at pickup time. I have videos of dump trucks rolling down that road and parked cars. I don't believe at this time it's in the best interest of Goose Creek to sell that property or even consider selling that property when we have a traffic flow problem that we could possibly use that property to fix in the future. So with that being said, my second question is, what is it costing us to solicit these bids and how much money do we have in it already?
I would defer to Sheila Cantu, who's Director of Purchasing, but I believe the estimate that we've received is about $810 to publish the notice. That's the amount that the school district would have in solicitation of the bids.
Just a publication in the local newspaper, right?
Correct.
Right.
And in regards to the traffic flow problem, it'd be remiss to not share that the rezoning has addressed much of that. Do you have the number, Ms. David, the number of students that were at Highlandsdale this year and the number that will be there next year? I think it was a reduction, some 300 students or more.
About 20%.
Still not enough to fix that traffic, in my opinion. I will not support it, and I hope my colleagues will consider the safety moving forward on that. To me, the juice just isn't worth the squeeze right now.
Which
peace officer group is in charge of that area besides Goose Creek?
I'm sorry, could you repeat
What
that?
peace officer?
Oh, precinct 3.
Precinct 3? And how much have we relied on them to help solve that issue?
Well, the current issue is there's no, the cars go in down College Street, which is a residential street off Main Street, 2100 in Highlands. There's not enough room on that street to hold the cars that are in line to pick up and drop off. And that line wraps around Main Street down Wallaceville. It goes all the way down in both directions. There's people in the turn lanes. It's a safety thing for me. And for the little bit of money that we could possibly get.
Is it traffic or is it dump trucks?
The traffic being cars sitting at stopped in the middle of the street for 30 minutes waiting to drop off and pick up while other cars are flying by. If you're not paying attention, those cars are stopped in 4 lanes of traffic.
So that all sounds like a precinct 3 problem to me. How many times has it been reported to precinct 3?
What are we reporting though? The cars have to stop in the street before they could turn in the school. It's similar to Pruitt
What's the
Street.
signage about parking?
I'm not following you, Mr. Clem.
If they're parking in the middle of the road, there should be laws or signage about it.
Well, they're stopped waiting to proceed down the street. It's a Goose Creek problem when it comes to we don't have driveway space like we do at, say,
So how is
Baytown
keeping
Junior.
this piece of land going to solve that?
It would allow future traffic lanes to be added, such as what's at Baytown Junior and other schools.
At our expense instead of precinct 3?
How would Precinct 3 solve it, though?
Because they're not monitoring these roads. And I don't think it's been reported to them. And I don't understand why we need to hold on to this piece of property because some law enforcement office isn't doing their job.
Because he says it's a safety issue for the school, for the kids.
I understand that.
And if you give it away, then it could interrupt.
Are you going to vote to spend $1.5 million to make that piece of land into traffic lanes?
I'm not.
Well, there you have it.
I'm not at that point, at this point either, but once we sell it, it's gone. The model that we've used at other schools on Main Street, on Bayway, we're building traffic lanes into these schools for the reason of safety. And if we sell this property, we're eliminating that opportunity at Highlands Elementary.
Perhaps there are other ways to make that road safer, like promoting the buses, to use buses instead of cars, because, you know, buses are very safe. Our bus drivers, you know, are very good bus drivers. It's a safe system, so maybe there's some way that we could promote parents using that to help with these issues instead of keeping this land and spending.
I do agree, and I do think the 25% reduction in students on the campus will have a significant impact on the number of cars stacked. There is, you know, hope that at some future date we could have stackable lanes in another area on the property. It still wouldn't be at Main Street. The stackable lanes could come from the Hopper direction or something of that nature if we were to be able to increase the number of stackable driveways. But it wouldn't be out at the Main Street area either. If we were to use any of the property, it would be the Hopper end.
If there's any concession, the Main Street is a state. You have to work with the state and county on it. That portion is county only? Oh, okay.
And the side street is a county, but the only way it's going to be corrected for the long term, if that the fence is moved in and a pathway road is done. But right now, I don't really think it's something we need to kind of research a little bit more what we can do instead of saying, well, let's sell it. No offense to you. I know you're the selling man, but
let me be clear. Let me be clear on a couple of things.
But
I serve at the pleasure of the board.
I know what Mr. Campese is talking about because I live out in that same area. And it's the same problem we have on Interstate 10 with Harlem.
Correct.
people get, and that's a state right away there.
Right.
And they'll, still getting over, and on the grass part, they'll block the lane, and then you gotta either get on the freeway or.
Well, I hate to overstate the obvious, but for 30 minutes, every day, every campus has a traffic problem.
Right. But
they have, the other campuses have other routes they can take to, to get out of there.
Well, even, for example, Alamo has stackable lanes, and it's still a concern,
Yeah, but we're
because
not
it's on
sending
Main Street.
nothing at Alamo.
Several years ago, we had the same exact situation on Bayway Drive with Baytown Junior. And this district spent the money to put a traffic lane on our district property to eliminate it. And it's served that school very well.
That's because we passed the bond.
That's true. That's true.
We passed the bond.
Oh.
My concern is once we sell the property, it's gone. It removes that option at that point.
I'm with you, Mr. Campese. It's your area. Whatever you want to do, I'm good with it.
I'm one vote of 7, and I will support however this board votes.
Stay strong. Don't give in.
I just think, can we
Okay, we're going to call for a
table it?
vote.
Mr. Campese,
That's a good call.
just to follow up
Why
on
don't we
your
table it
concern.
until we can look at it a
President.
little bit more, if that's possible?
Can we hear from Ms. Garcia real quick?
I just wanted to reiterate what Dr. O'Brien said. I think there are ways to, in the future, apply internal lanes to those campuses because they're connected. It would just need to be investigated, but I think that is a possibility for those campuses in the future.
The issue, though, the question is, would we use this acreage for a viable lane? It's not viable because there is a city park or a park that's open in between.
It's
that
difficult
corner.
because we don't own that college road either, so.
Do we own the remainder of the property contiguous to Highlands Elementary?
We do.
That's my point. And this is the only portion of that property that would still front face as Main Street.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, Dr. Price.
I don't have questions anymore.
We're just being asked to authorize the solicitation of bids. We're not selling the property tonight.
That's correct. That would,
So it's still going to come back to us, and if somebody offers us 10 times its worth, we'll reconsider.
if this board were to approve this,
I'm sorry, again?
if this board were to approve this tonight, it would go out for bids, and we would anticipate, if we receive any bids from prospective buyers, it would come back to this board either the June 2nd or June 16th meeting, depending on the parameters of the bid.
Can we tell them they have to buy the Fairway property too?
How much would it cost us to put out bids? Would it cost us any money? That's it?
It's about $800, I believe, to advertise.
Not
with
6.
this.
Randy
Yes, sir.
said 6.
I've suggested I'm going into the newspaper business after this.
Dr. Price, you have.
Come on.
If I may, Madam President, Board Member Campisi, we've looked at this before, that piece of property. We were talking about doing what you were what you were referring to, putting those lanes. But remember, Dr. Brown, we got a lot of pushback from the Highlands community. They did not want us to mess with that because it was they considered a park area. And they really came out and pushed back on that. So that was one reason we didn't use it for that purpose. And at the beginning of the school year, so we do have a lot of traffic on that location, but the Precinct 3 and our police department comes out and we get that taken care of. So if we need to contact them more and try to get someone over there, then we could probably look at that and go stronger with that. But I don't think we would, I don't think the community would be in favor of us doing that, thinking about what they did last time. We had a lot of pushback from that.
Is there developed park there, or it's just green space?
It's green space, but they consider it and look at it as a park. And our kids use it as a walking park also, but some of the community
and
members
that's
as
on
well.
There's only a broken concrete pad for a basketball court. It's not being used.
Our students use that every day for recess, did they not?
I agree with you, we should just table this.
Okay. Well, do I have a motion for on the table?
I would think we ought to. Come on. I think we ought to just table it right now and then.
Make a motion.
Look,
You got a motion?
give me a second. I make a motion that we table this until we have a little bit more information about possibly what can be done. And if nothing can be done, then we put it up to sale. And then if we don't get any qualified bids, then we'll just keep the property and just figure out that we need to talk to Precinct 3 and our department about better managing the traffic in that area morning and evening, because that seemed like the biggest problem, morning and evening. But
Okay, I'm just gonna make a motion to pull it, okay?
Yeah.
We're gonna pull item 13A11. Okay.
Are we
Okay.
pulling it administratively, or?
I can pull it administratively at the will of the board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, proceed.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is.
It's only 10 o'clock.
Huh? Oh, okay, I did not lost my place. Thank you, Tiffany. We're now on future board 13B, future board agenda items, board training, board meetings.
Just a reminder that we're going to Summer Leadership Institute in San Antonio,
Yes.
June 11th through 14th, those who can make it. Those who can't make that date, a week later, we'll do June 18th through 22nd in Fort Worth.
Thank you.
Ms. Garcia is requesting that we advise her today if we're going to join, go to either one of those.
Okay. What's the big pardon?
Let me know.
Ms. Garcia is wanting to know if we're going today. If we could let her know so she can make her plans.
Okay.
Confirmation tonight, if at all possible, so that we can get the rooms booked and all that.
Okay, the board now will recess into closed session. The board pursuant to one of the following sections of Texas Government Code, Section 551, 071, 072, 073, 07.
I don't mean to interrupt you. Did we vote on number 5?
Yeah.
No, we made the amendment, but.
Yeah, we voted on 5. You've been sleeping.
Yes.
073, 074, you've been worried about Randy money. 075, 076, 082, 083, 084, and 087. No action will be taken while the board is in closed session. The time is now 10:05. And y'all better move fast back there.
Yep.
This chairman is tired. The board will now reconvene in the open session. The time is now 10:51. No action was taken while the board was in closed session. Dr. O'Brien, I'm going to move to you now for discussion of personnel.
Is it really 10:51?
10:52 now, you're wasting time, bro.
Okay, excuse me. Administration brings before the board for consideration approval of 36 elections and approval of 51
Move to approve.
resignations.
Thank you. It was
I'll second.
motion and moved and second by Tiffany and a motion by Mr. Clemens, second by Ms. Guy. All in favor? Approved.
Administration brings before the board this evening for approval Abigail Tyler as educational diagnostician.
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Motion and second, motion by Ms. Guy, second by Mr. Clem. All in favor? It's unanimous.
It's getting late. I want to make sure that this isn't the same person. Administration brings before the board Abigail Larson as speech language pathologist.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Clem, second by Mr. Campese. All in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous, Noemi.
Administration brings before the board Adrian Ware as licensed specialist in school psychology.
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Approved by, motion by Ms. Guy, second by Mr. Renteria. All in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, Noemi.
Gotcha. Is that the one I have folded over?
Okay.
All right. Administration brings to the board campus athletic coordinator, head football coach at Sterling High School, Spencer Anthony.
Howard, you want to say your part first? Are they still here? He left? He had stayed all this time. Okay.
We got to have some staying power. If he gonna take off over for the Rangers, he can't be jumping ship like that, you know.
Okay, motion by Ms. Guy, second by Mr.
Have to
Sampson.
give him a canoe.
All in favor, raise your hand. Unanimous, Ms.
Administration brings before the board for consideration the renewal and non-renewal or termination of employment of instructional personnel contracts. Specifically, consider and take action to renew, non-renew, or terminate the end of the contract instructional personnel contracts as presented for Chapter 21 of the Education Code.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Have a motion?
That was item 4, right?
Yes.
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay. It was motion for approval by Mr. Clem, second by Mr. Renteria. All in favor, please raise your hand.
And
Hold on. Any abstention? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 approved, 2 abstentions.
5-4, 2 abstentions.
5-4 and 2 abstentions.
Ms. Guy.
And Madam President, I don't know if this is a matter for you or not, but administration may request a special call meeting for personnel only, a weekday, because our next meeting is not until June 2nd. We have people waiting on contracts, so we will get a few dates to the board. Oh, and I've left one thing off of our agenda to recommend. So just for consideration of a future board special call meeting for personnel only, item F, consideration of the application for NRG Cedar Bio 5 Comptroller application number J0012 for tax incentive agreement and board declaration of conditional intent pursuant to Government Code 403-611B. And administration does recommend approval.
Okay. I'll move to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion by Ms. Scott, second by Mr. Renteria. All in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous.
Tony, it was worth it. You had nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. Administration rests,
Okay.
Your Honor.
There be no further business. This board and this meeting is adjourned at 10:56 p.m. and Helen Barat Timms is out as your president.
Congratulations, Ms. Timms.